What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream of Let's Get Nuts Sunday with the boys here on the Ben Thomas Show. I am happy to have you guys back. We have a really full show today because it's amazing what can happen within a week of 6-scale community and entertainment news and all the good stuff. I've got some wicked panelists with me here today. Of course, they help make the show fun and exciting and totally not sure what to expect. I've got my tough nut to swallow shirt on for you guys, repping the nut for the show today on Sunday. We're going to talk a little bit about, of course, Sdcc 2023. Not everything. Honestly, there's so much stuff that's come out of there. We're going to highlight some of the stuff that I think is cool and some of the stuff that the boys think is cool. We're going to talk a little bit about that INART Superman, as well as a bunch of entertainment news. So, guys, of course, stick around. If you guys like the video, hit the like button for us. Smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, especially the Let's Get Nuts Live. And let's get into it.
Come on, let's get nuts.
I give you Ben Thomas.
Showtime.
Here we go.
Alrighty, so first, let's bring in the slides. So Pete is on the way from Only Fools and Collecting. He's not here yet. I gotta give him some slack. To be honest, he's here almost every single week with me, so you get one, Pete. You get one. This is the one. But no, Pete will be with us here shortly, and we'll introduce him in the show when we get him. But, of course, we have Mr. Jay Feezy from Feezys Figures back in the Ben Thomas Show. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, likewise. Good to see you. Good to quote unquote see the chat out there. Thanks for all for being here. Thanks for having me back, man. This is always a good, fun show.
Fun show. I'm excited for it because we've got, again, so many things to talk about, and I don't think I've even had your take on a lot of it. You poked me on something that I want to talk about today in the show as well a couple days ago, so we'll get into that for sure. But, of course, we've got here, he goes by a couple of names now in the community, but I know him as Classy Thomas. Welcome back, Mr. Thomas. SpongeBobSquareBalls. Good to see you, buddy.
I am doing great. Yes, I am the resident, what do you call that, Puff Daddy P. Diddy Diddy. So, I go by many names, just like Prince, the artist. I kind of have that. I have that level of notoriety, I get to have many different names.
Heck yeah, buddy. Well, good to see you. Hopefully you'll give yourself better names than you give your figures. What was it, Crocodile Man last week or something?
No, Crocodile Head and Kitty Purr.
Okay.
Those are their names.
We'll see, but your own name's totally cool. The man who comes up with SpongeBobSquareBalls deserves some credit and love. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining. I will see you on the other side. Last but of course not least here, we have Mr. Shane from OneSixthFigureFocus itself. Good to see you, buddy. How's it going?
What's up, guys? What's up? Great to be here. Busy week. There's a storm coming, Mr. Thomas.
There's a storm coming.
There's a storm coming, Mr. Thomas. There's a lot of stuff coming out there.
Yeah, I had to burn my wallet the other day, so yeah, it's I'm almost out of the game at this point. There's too many things, and of course now that I've been streaming for as often as I have, everybody gets to hear about all the things that I think are cool all the time. So now more people are sending me like, "Hey, have you seen this Star Trek figure? Have you seen this Ninja Turtle? Have you seen this Batman?" I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna explode! There's too much cool shit." So, but. Mr. Shane, I'm happy to have you back, buddy. Now, I could be mistaken. You and Feezy already saw each other, I think today, was it, for an episode of Visions?
Yeah.
Nice.
We had an episode of Visions. We got a bit of a pre-game, and now just the main event here. So
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that was great. It was a great chat. It's really easy to talk to. It's a great way of getting to know people, and the chat really engaged as well. And yeah, it was good. Everyone was well behaved, and it's all good.
Everybody was well behaved. You'll love to see it. No, I can't believe we already have 27 folks in the chat already. Thanks for joining in, everybody. We definitely appreciate it. Love you guys. So let's take a look and see who's here, and then we'll jump into the show because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got Mike Latoris himself. Good to see you here, buddy. Hope you and the wife, I think you said, or girlfriend, wife, is doing well. We got OneSixthFigureFocus himself. What's up, folks? And Mr. Feezy, of course, himself. What's going on, Loki collector? Too bad we don't have you here, buddy. Hopefully you're enjoying the Sdcc celebrations. Sure. We've got Yomo in the chat. Good to see you. Lewis Labitz. Good to see you, buddy. We got Mr. Mark P. Sup, Ben. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining. We got Tyria. Exclamation mark. Repping the nut. You love to see it. Mark P. We got the Empire Strikes. Hey, Ben, panel, and chat. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining in. We got the Community Arcade here. Feeling nutty. Hello, friends. Good to see you.
It's a bit.
6-scale collector. Not often I catch a show live. Let's go. Absolutely.
Nice. Welcome.
Live is always the fun way, because I try and read as many comments as I can along the way, but we'll see how she goes. Philip the Fool here. Philip the Fool, not Fuel.
Okay.
Philip the Fool is here. What's up, everybody? Good to see you. And, of course, the Eclectic Collector didn't mess it up this time. What's up, guys? Good to see you. We've got also the Hot Toys 1/6 Masterpiece. Good evening. That's a newer name. I don't recognize that one. So, yeah, if you're new, welcome. Thanks for joining. Guys, I want to, warm up the juices of Let's Get Nuts, because... Man, that sounded dirtier than I anticipated.
Yeah.
Most of the
definitely
things
sounded
you say
dirtier
on this
than I
show
anticipated.
sound.
I really got to script myself, you
I
know?
was going to say, repping the
Jesus,
nut. Is
yeah,
that
you
You
just-
provocateur, you.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I want to warm us up first with this. Now, I don't have the clip itself, but I want to know if you guys have seen this story floating around the interwebs.
Yes.
It's this lady who is on a plane who apparently starts freaking out and demanding she get let off the plane because there's a passenger next to her, or at least within the same row, that apparently was sitting extremely quietly, not really making any movement, and then at some point blinks sideways at her and freaks her out. She thinks this person is an alien and wants to get off the plane. Now,
Oh,
people have said she was drunk. Other people have said she wasn't drunk. She seemed like she was normal, right state of mind. And so this has just been circulating and circulating, this girl's reaction to this supposed passenger. So, Feezy, I want to start with you first.
okay.
Do you think aliens are among us? And if so, what do you expect? Or I should say, if so, how long have you believed in aliens for, or disbelieved in aliens for? Do you believe?
Ooh,
that
we're
they
going the
exist?
squirrels route, huh?
Curious.
I'm gonna, man. I'm open to it. I should say. I mean, the common comeback is, we can't be the only ones here, right? That's a common remark, which is I agree with. This universe is so vast and big, we don't even know the extent of it, and it's hard to believe we're the only ones here. So yes, I think there's some other life forms out there, and could potentially be walking among us, but not just aliens, right? I always think back, the movie that blew my mind was Ex Machina. Just have you guys seen that? Right?
Love that movie.
I don't know if you can consider that an alien or not, but just meant to blend in with the crowd, and we would have known, none the wiser. So stuff like that, there could potentially be, and we wouldn't never know. So I'm open to it. I'm not going to be naive and say no, never. This isn't possible. So that's just where I stand right now.
Absolutely. Thomas, what do you think? Are aliens among us already? Do they even exist? What are your thoughts?
Well, duh. I mean, what do you think you are?
An alien, clearly.
You're an alien. I mean, hey. So, of course. I do. I believe that there is life out there. What about those little, the tiny microscopic bears that survive the ravages of outer space, and what about cockroaches? They can survive just about anything. I mean, who knows? I mean, I think it's foolish to think that there is nothing else out there except us. I mean, this is one planet in our solar system, but there's other planets out there. I mean, people are exploring Mars to see whether or not life has existed there, or to see whether life could be sustained on Mars. I mean, of course, people want to screw up Earth and then just go to Mars and try to screw that up too, I guess. But yeah, I think there's a high probability that there is other life out there. I don't know if the life looks like us or looks like something squiggly and wiggly or something like that. I mean, who knows? I don't think I can imagine what the life would look like, but I think that it's only fair to expect that there would be life in other places that are not quite like ours. I mean, even though this is on our planet, look at when you go to the depths of the sea, all of the new life forms that we're finding down there that are able to survive in in conditions that would be detrimental to us. So, with the high pressures of the seas, and so I think it's very high probability, and I would be hopeful that life forms out there would not be hostile. At least to me. I mean, as long as you're nice to me, I'm
You're too
cool.
classy.
But I'm classy Thomas, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll give you cool names like Furhead, or
Alien Head.
Alien Head. Hey, what's up, Alien Head? Everybody's got the.
This is how we end up getting destroyed. It's a very insensitive name by accident.
No,
it was meant to be sensitive, wasn't sensitive at all.
Alien Head is a very, very, very nice term, because I'm acknowledging who they are, and I'm acknowledging that they have a head.
Okay.
So double acknowledgement. So yeah,
Thomas,
I think it's a possibility.
You said something there that I think is interesting. So it's interesting that we know significantly, or so much about, not significantly more, but so much about space, and yet there's so much of our own planet, including our oceans, that still go undiscovered, which I think is crazy. When I think about space, I was watching Cosmos the other day, Shane, and I don't know if you've ever watched that with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Wonderful show, great perspective, and a great way to learn about the cosmos and the history of our planet. And I always think about the measure of a lifetime, how short a human lifespan is in comparison to the length of the universe, and even the distance between planets, the distance between galaxies. If we wanted to try and get to the nearest galaxy, which I believe is Andromeda, it's hundreds of millions, I think it is, light years away, which means that in a lifetime, at our current ability to travel, we could never even make it. We'd be dust by the time we even got there. So if aliens exist, Shane, are they hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old in order to be here? Because again, if the next closest galaxy is millions of light years away, they either have to be able to travel faster, or they have to be able to age significantly beyond our own lifetime. What are your thoughts?
Oh my God, I just came on here to talk about figures, but all right.
I'm warming you up, bud. Okay.
All
Getting
right,
the
yeah,
juices flowing.
Okay, so first of all, I don't buy into the aliens have visited our planet and that there's bodies in Roswell and they're among. I don't buy any of that. But
So you think that lady was drunk on the plane then? Is kind of...
yeah, there's something up. I don't know. Maybe God bless her. Maybe she's got some health issues going on or something like that. Hope she's all right. But yeah, there's okay. Our whole life depends on the sun. The sun is one star. There's 7 septillion or something stars in the universe. It's 7 with 23 zeros at the end of it. Basically, for every grain of sand there is on the planet, there's estimated 10,000 stars. So wouldn't and we're a Goldilocks planet, so wouldn't it be incredibly arrogant of us to think that there's not another Goldilocks planet out there? Mm-hmm. And maybe there's people life forms having the same conversations, light years away. So yeah, to answer your question, if they can get to us, then their lifespan is significantly longer and they age slower, or they just have better tech, in which case we're screwed. So,
all screwed.
Great
answers. All great answers, guys. Honestly, and I'm kind of in the same boat. For me, I can't think of the vastness of space without imagining that there has to be the possibility of other life out there. Whether it's more like animal life, plant life, bacterial life, whatever it is, it definitely exists. We just don't know about it yet. Or we do know about it yet, and it's covered up. We'll see. Now, I did miss a couple people, and I apologize. The chat is a little delayed here for some reason on my end today, so we got 12-inch Moose Stream here as well. And Action Figure Academy. I saved the best for last, right, guys? No, just kidding. But I love you guys. Sorry I missed. Yeah, Louis Lebitz, hilarious. Who else did we miss here? Empire Strikes we got Alabama Wyatt. Says we are Stardust.
Mere Stardust.
Mere Stardust. Payton 23, I think we missed you as well, buddy. Good to see you. And Agent Silver Fox, good to see you here, buddy. Evening, guys. As a massive David Bowie fan, loving the Alien. Alien can mean several things. Totally agree.
And actually, because I was watching a program with Neil deGrasse Tyson also, and he was actually reflecting on the fact that the stars that we see are are not real. They're actually they're actually suns that died eons ago, and that we are just seeing their reflection because of the passage of time. For us, we just see them now. So it's kind of amazing to think that things are so vast and so expansive that we just, we're just now catching up.
For sure. And 100%. A great thought, Thomas. Tiri asks, did I come up with this tie when I was high as a kite? I mean,
Ground control.
maybe. The majority of the Let's Get in the Show sheet, let's be honest, guys. Okay, and we've got Mr. Pete from Only Fools and Collecting here with us. Good to see you, buddy. I know you didn't know what you were walking into today, Pete. We were just talking a little bit about aliens, really mostly just to get our juices flowing before we get into the show.
So,
what's your thoughts?
So it sounds like Shane's the expert on this stuff. So you know about the Fermi paradox.
The Fermi paradox?
Well, the fact that Fermi was one of the scientists that worked on the atom bomb thing with Oppenheimer. So he's in Oppenheimer, which I'm seeing on Wednesday, and he speculated that the fact that if there's two reasons. There's one is that there's some kind of, they call it the Great Barrier or something. So there's something that in our future, when we think about traversing the stars and things like that, there's something that there's a great barrier to stop that happening. So that's one reason why perhaps we haven't been visited, because there's something that we just can't get past. But also, the other thing was that he said that maybe there are other civilizations out there, but they're keeping quiet because they fear that if they make themselves known to other sentient beings, that they'll come to take their resources or stuff like that. So there's a couple of different things, like just because other civilizations might be able to do these things, they're choosing not to because of the knock-on effects that could have on that sort of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff out there. I agree with you, Shane, that it would be incredible if we were the only ones, but there's some reason why we haven't met up with anybody else yet.
Cool.
But we could also just be trapped in a tiny atom-like structure that belongs to the leg of a chair for giants.
True.
The marble scene at the end of Men in Black. Yeah. I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it. Guys, that got me warmed up. I appreciate it. I always like when you guys take the piss with me a little bit and have a laugh. So, aliens, if you guys listening either in the chat or on replay think that aliens exist and are among us, I would love to hear from you. I will comment back. If not, also let me know. I'd be curious. It's an interesting thought. It's a thought exercise that I think is fun, whether you are on the cannabis or not on the cannabis. You can enjoy extraterrestrial thought any day and any time.
I mean, Ben, I farted out a universe about an hour ago.
Oh my God. Okay, let's move on here, guys.
I like this guy. He's got jokes.
Jesus. We got an update from Variety here. Cowabunga, the original 1987 animated series Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is coming to Nickelodeon. Now, I don't remember, honestly, the last time I watched Nickelodeon, but what I do appreciate about this article is really just the fact that the Turtles from the animated series of the 80s and 90s is going to be more accessible again. This is a movie set that I wanted to buy not too long ago, and you could actually get it in the Turtle van. It had like all the DVDs splayed in like a case that looked like the Turtle van. But it's like going for like 150, 180 like Canadian dollars. It's a lot of money, and it's a lower res DVD quality. I don't think it's the Blu-ray yet even. So Marco from 16Fix, he already makes fun of me for collecting too many standard level of DVDs to begin with. So I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. But if it's available for streaming at some point, or on even a cable network, I think that was good, because to be honest, it's still my favorite Turtles of all time. It still holds up. And with the pending Turtles movie coming out, hoping, I think, to recapture the Turtles audience again. I'm curious to see how that movie is going to go as well. But do you guys have any feels on this at all? Were you Ninja Turtles fans when you were younger? Did you collect the figures from the old show?
No, I was a Hero Turtles fan. I think I explained that to you last show.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
had the Teenage Mutant Hero
right.
Turtles, and I was a massive fan, and I
Hero
got
Turtles, yeah.
mega hyped for the movie. So yeah, I was big into Turtles when I was growing up.
For sure. It's going
I
to
was
be a little...
12 then, but so maybe I was a bit. I don't think I was. I think I was like slap bang in the perfect age for it, to be honest.
I was born in 87, so either it was already out for a couple of years by the time I was able to fully appreciate it. But I had all the figures. It was awesome. I loved it. And I still have a couple of those guys. In fact, my stepdad, he was cutting the grass recently. Out, and we have a big yard back where I grew
Cutting,
up.
not smoking.
Cutting the grass. He doesn't smoke the grass.
Too easy. Too easy.
And he sees something sticking out of the grass near where my old swing set used to be. And it was the, I think it's a Donatello. I'd have to look again. But it's the Donatello in, like, his disguised jacket and top hat. It's not Raphael, though. I think it's Donatello. Anyways, the paint is still good. It's still in, like, excellent condition. I figure I lost that thing in the grass at least 20 years ago. So, like, question is, like, what the hell did they paint those things with? Like, it's 100% lead paint. Do not lick your old turtles if you get an opportunity.
That's
Do not do
alien
it.
technology, I keep
Alien
telling
technology.
you. They walk amongst
Temptation,
us.
Do you think it's
They
going to
paint
be...
our toys.
Shane, do you think it's going to be weird, though, for the new turtles who are voiced by actual teenagers when they start hitting puberty and their voices start to change? Or do you think it's going to be a cool thing to see the turtles grow up if the movie's popular and continues to do well and they get a couple more sequels? Do you think that's going to be weird?
Oh, so they're voicing them by...
Actual teenagers, not voice actors sounding like
right.
teenagers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to go through the awkward phase. You know, when their voices are just kind of broken but not really in. They're like mid-sentence and then... That's just quite funny. Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you in one of your classes or anything? Or do you teach too old of students at this point?
Oh no, that happens. That definitely happens. Like someone will be answering a question whose voice is actually broken, and they'll just revert into.
The only time for me in my lifetime where I recall my actual voice changing mid sentence was I was at a hockey game. Of course, Canada, right? We're at a hockey game, and I'm yelling like, "Shoot the puck! Shoot the puck!" And just as I said the puck, my voice just changed like an octave level, and everybody around me laughed at me. I was like, "Oh my god!" Thankfully none of them are friends or family necessarily, just audience members. But yeah, shoot the puck. Yeah, not a good thing. Not a good thing.
I love it. That's brilliant.
Let's move on. So this week at San Diego Comic-Con, we have finally had the update and for when we're going to be able to see season 2 of Invincible. Of course, it looks like it's setting to air on November the 3rd. Now, I'm pretty excited about this show in particular because I had a great time with the first season. I've even got the So-So Toys figure on the way here, hopefully soon. It's been a while since I've purchased it now, but I'm excited to get that in hand. I'm also really excited for the show. Feezy, did you ever watch this show, and did you end up getting the figure, or was this not on your radar, really?
Yeah, it wasn't really on my radar. This is on one of those movies or shows, that's on my to-watch list. Right, there's just so many out there I have to catch up on. But this was one of them. I heard a lot of good things about this, and yeah, I haven't seen the first season yet, so I need to go back and watch that one. And no, I don't have any of the figures, most likely because of that. I haven't seen the show.
Totally makes sense. I didn't get the Omni-Man, so his dad in the show, but I do have him. So I might look for an Omni-Man at some point, but I've seen that there's the potential for some of the dye to come off the cape and the outfit on the figure and blah, blah, blah. So we'll see how it goes. Pete, I think you had said you were an Invincible fan.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love the first season. Yeah. I kind of stumbled on it a bit late, and because I kind of dip in and out with Amazon, I don't have a permanent subscriction. But if I get a free 30 days or what have you, or I need something, so yeah, it was brilliant. It's incredibly brutal, the violence in it and stuff, and yeah, I thought it was brilliant, and I'm definitely looking forward to the new season.
It reminded me of almost like boys level violence in terms of, but in an animated show. It just catches you off guard, but it wasn't even just that. Like, I enjoyed the storyline itself.
Yeah,
so,
it was really good. Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, I'm excited for season 2. I think it'll be an exciting one to watch. So stay tuned for the November 3rd, and maybe we'll do like a watch party of it of the first episode, Pete, if you're into it.
Yeah, definitely.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
I won't get everybody's takes on this one unless anybody has a really strong, thick opinion of Invincible. But Thomas, I do want to ask you, because last week we were talking a little bit about this week, of course, or this weekend being the opening of Oppenheimer and Barbie,
Right.
known as Barbenheimer. So it's been a really big weekend for this young lady, obviously. No, jokes aside. Barbie opens to $155 million, shattering the expectations there, as well as Oppenheimer opening to $80 million, which is $20 million above, I think, the original projection in the neighborhood of $60 million. So it's done really well. Did you get a chance to see these movies at all this weekend, or is it now on your radar seeing how successful it's been?
No, I don't really go out to the theaters. Still, right at this point, we've had a few people around here, and some people who I know who've recently come down with COVID again, and because of my kidney situation, I have to kind of play it a little bit safe. So I don't really go out into lots of group locations. As of right now. So unless I really felt compelled and went there wearing a mask, I'll probably just wait until it streams. But it's something I would like to see both of them. So I definitely will be wanting to catch them when they're actually streaming. But yeah, they look great actually, and I've heard very good things about both of them. So I'm very excited about both of them.
Absolutely. Blue Tattoo, thanks for stopping in. We'll catch you on the next one, buddy, for sure.
Night.
Later, Blue.
Totally. I think this is still exciting, just in terms of how well these movies are doing. I think it got a lot of hype. Obviously, the marketing around it, even just being the name being combined, the Barbenheimer thing, like that's cool. That's obviously driving some traffic as well. I think I'm going to be seeing Barbie on Wednesday night. I've already told my date that I'm willing to wear pink. If she's willing to wear pink, we're going to dress up with a friend. So that sounds kind of fun. I say willing. I used to wear pink back in high school when it wasn't cool yet, and now it's cool again. So
There's nothing wrong with
trendsetter,
it's
okay,
cool
I
now,
wear
like-
nuts on my
It's a
shirt now, and it's not
color.
cool yet. I'm trying to...
Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi wears pink now, so it's cool.
Yeah.
That's right. Has any of you guys seen this film yet this weekend, or is it all still on the radar?
I'm going
I
to see
saw
Oppenheimer on
Oppenheimer.
Wednesday. Oh,
You
you've
did?
seen it, yeah?
I saw Oppenheimer
Without
last
spoilers, liked it?
night. I loved it. I'm getting, for the last a few years, I've been kind of getting sick and tired of going to the cinema, and the cinema has never been as expensive as it is now. You go to the cinema with one other person, if you're paying for everything or they're paying for everything, between popcorn and decent seats and whatever, you could be talking $50 easily. And I was kind of getting a bit sick of going to an MCU movie and walking away going, yeah, I paid a lot of money for that. That wasn't great. Last night it was just it's a good movie. It's a great movie. It's 5 stars for me. I'm obviously very biased when it comes to Christopher Nolan, so you probably can't take anything I'm saying seriously.
Yeah.
But
What sort of screen did you see it on? Did you see it on IMAX?
it wasn't an IMAX. It was the biggest one in our local cinema. It's not an IMAX. It's they call it Hypersense. It's a really big screen. It's curved and it has the proper nice seats where you can really enjoy. And it's a stunning film. I loved it. And I will go see it again in IMAX.
Yeah, we've got IMAX seats for Wednesday.
He just doesn't do things by halves. The man, he's got a very, very good portfolio of movies under him. Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
Now, Shane, we've been friends for a little while, obviously. So I'm going to stick with you really quickly on this one since I'm already with you, because Oppenheimer's dazzling opening weekend box office outdoes all of Christopher Nolan's non-Batman movies, including Inception.
wow.
So my question for you, when I think I already know the answer, is what is your favorite Christopher Nolan film? And if it's the obvious, then what's your second favorite?
I'm glad you double-barreled that question. I think I'd have to go for. I think I'd have to go for The Dark Knight.
Of course.
Now, the second favorite, it wouldn't be Oppenheimer, but I do think Oppenheimer is stunning. It's 5 stars for me. It had the potential to be a boring film, but and they're taking some very, very heavy, subject matter, but they're still keeping you engaged in a lot of dialogue. But no, it wouldn't be. God, that's a great question. I have an awful soft spot for the Prestige. I don't think the
Me
Prestige
too.
gets as
Yeah.
much love
fair.
as
Awesome.
the obvious ones. But I'd say if I'd have to split hairs, it would come down to Inception or Interstellar. I think. I love the concept of Inception. I think if you put me on the spot, I think I'd go Inception.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
and the soundtrack is the better soundtrack is Interstellar. I think final answer I'll go Inception.
I have to agree with that. The Dark Knight is my favorite film of all time, so that is an easy contender.
Did we just become best friends? Sorry.
Right? but what? But Inception, when I saw that film, it hit me at a time in my life where it just really resonated with me, and the fact that he got to live his whole life with his wife in the dream, the dream basically, and then come back to reality as young people again. It just got me in the feels. Now, I mean, most of the Nolan movies have. I did love Interstellar. That made me ugly cry at one point in that film.
God, yeah.
For sure. Feezy, same question for you. If Dark Knight is your favorite, what would be your second favorite Christopher Nolan? And if not, don't let me put words in your mouth, good sir.
Yeah, I would have to go with same. I think Dark Knight and then Inception. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet myself, and I have to go back and see Prestige. I haven't. It's been a minute, but I do remember. There was a good plot twist. So, but I can't remember like fully. Remember everything, all the details. So I'll have to go back and. To be fair, I'll have to watch it again. But right now, yeah, Dark Knight and Inception are my 1 and 2 in that order.
Love them. I think, I mean, for me, honorable shout out would be Memento. I think that was my first experience with a Nolan film, and I loved that movie. I didn't love Tenet, to be honest. I have got through it now. I say got through it because I had a really hard time watching it the first time. I was so friggin' confused all the way through.
Yeah.
And then I had to watch it again to be like, okay, now I understand what I'm watching. But it was like, there's one thing to be said about a movie that makes you critically think, and there's another one that's just like, what the hell is going on? I think Inception did a really good job with that critical thought and like concept without confusing the shit out of people too aggressively, anyways, like Tenet did. Pete, I got the same question for you.
You have to watch Tenet backwards. That's the key.
I don't have the time to
Only
watch
you
a movie
could.
backwards. Yeah, that's
Start
right.
in the middle, go to
Pete-
end, then go back from the beginning.
Quick to you, and then we'll move on.
Yeah,
what do you think?
see, because I could break the mold, because mine isn't any of the Dark Knight
Love
movies.
it.
My favourite is the Prestige. I absolutely love the Prestige. I read the book before I saw the movie, and the twist at the end of that is bloody fantastic. So yeah, and probably Interstellar second. I think it's a film I need to go back and watch again. Because it's just mind blowing, the concepts in it, and like the bit where they're on the planet and every second they're there, it's like months or something back home. It's really mind blowing, and that every second they spend there, they're it's years and stuff in other time zones. So that's one that I've definitely, I keep meaning to rewatch it again because I did very much enjoy it. But yeah, for me, Prestige definitely.
Prestige.
Just
I gotta
love
go
the
back
whole
and
thing.
watch that one. That's a movie I accidentally stole from Blockbuster years ago. So now my copy of it is still in a
VHS.
Blockbuster. No, it's a DVD, but it's in like the Blockbuster case that says "Please return" on the front, and I did not return it. So I own that Prestige movie. I think they still charged me for it before they went out of business. Like I ended up having to pay $31 or something for it, which is outrageous. I don't think at the time that was even a $31 movie. But Agent Silver Fox here says Dunkirk was also done very well. Prestige is my second best Nolan movie. I have not seen Dunkirk yet.
Has he made a bad
I
movie?
haven't seen Oppenheimer. So I feel like there's two there that could shift my perspective for sure. What were you gonna say, Shane?
They're similar as well in the sense that I'm really glad that Christopher Nolan, I think The Dark Knight is probably one of the least Christopher Nolan movies. As in, what I mean by that is, yeah, it has the cinematography and it has the style of sound engineering and the music and the practical effects, but like when I think of Christopher Nolan, I do think of the mind-bending side of things, the Interstellar, the Prestige, the Tenet, the Inception, the Memento. But I'm really glad he's he's got a few things under his belt. He's got the comic book trilogy, arguably the best comic book trilogy ever made, and then he's got like the mind bending science fiction. But now he's got the kind of like historic movies. Like Dunkirk, I've only watched it once or twice. Like it definitely wouldn't be my favorite movie, but it has all the not cliche, the trademark Nolan.
It's just it's the epic scale, isn't it, of everything?
Yeah, and Oppenheimer's like that as well. Cillian Murphy and Wardy J, they're just fantastic in it. Like it's
Totally. Thomas, I got one last thought exercise for you, and we'll keep it to under 30 seconds in the response. But I heard that Christopher Nolan has put up his hand and said he'd be willing to consider doing a James Bond film if, a big if, the Broccoli family who owns, and that's a real family name, by the way, the Broccoli family who owns James Bond were willing to let him take the reins and not only do the casting for Bond, but also essentially conceptualize the story. Do you think Christopher Nolan could make a good James Bond director? Because like Shane was just highlighting, he's done quite a variety of films. But in my opinion, if you're going to sign up to be a director for a Bond movie, you should be willing to do multiple movies, not necessarily just one-off films. And the only other one that he's done more films with is the Dark Knight trilogy, to which he said he would never do anything like that again. So do you think Christopher Nolan should get a chance to do a Bond film?
No.
No. Love it. Because of those reasons?
Well, no. I just don't think it would be as good of a fit. Just don't think it would be as good of a fit. He's a great director, but I don't think that he would fit the Bond universe as well for in my opinion.
Totally. I think he could do an amazing Bond film, but he would have to have all of the choices being his, right? I think if the Broccoli family gave him a Bond and said, you need to use this actor, that could be challenging for him, because he obviously sticks to a lot of even similar cast between his films, right? Sir Michael Caine, I love seeing that guy in the Nolan films. But Jay, I want to go to you then next on this one, because you poked me on Instagram the other day when I posted about this show. I just finished the 5th episode of Marvel's Secret Invasion, with, of course, an old or elderly now Nick Fury and Skrull invasion. And I gotta say, boys, I wasn't all that excited for the show to begin with. I had almost no excitement for it whatsoever. And then I heard a little, bit of feedback from people saying that it was a decent show and that it was worth a watch. And so I finally binged it the other day, all 5 episodes. And I gotta say, this is easily one of my favorite Marvel television shows now. It's been fantastic. And some of the action scenes, especially even just in this last episode, were really, really well done. So what are your thoughts on the show, Feezy, and would you recommend it to the audience if they haven't seen it yet?
Yeah, so initially I went in the same thought as you, right? It was kind of lukewarm just because of the track record previously of Marvel shows, and so I was like, okay, but I mean, I'm still, again, always trying to stay open-minded and see how it comes out. But I in my opinion, I think this is it got progressively better each episode. But in the beginning I was kind of like, okay, there's some remnants of other shows in here, like I mentioned before. Winter Soldier, Captain America and the Falcon type, some essence of that, and a little bit of Some of All Fears, with Ben Affleck, that movie. There's kind of that stuff going on. So I was like, okay, this is somewhat familiar, but it started getting progressively better, and the dialogue also started ramping up too. Some of the exchanges between some of the characters, the dialogue alone was just great. The last 2 episodes specifically, and the action scene. I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen the last episode, but the action scene between those two reminded me of, had like this John Wick essence to it. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. But it's getting interesting. It's starting to, and I think it's getting progressively better. And so I'm interested in looking forward to seeing what this last episode brings. Right, last one, right?
For sure. Yes, last one. I think 6-episode season.
Oh, is that all? Wow.
Yeah, and I was excited to hear from you the other day when you poked me on that, Feezy, because it was like, okay, sweet. I'm glad other people are watching it and enjoying it as much as me. Obviously, I don't I like a lot of random stuff that other people don't like. I think I used at one point on Let's Get Nuts Lady in the Water as an example. People hated that movie when it came out. I saw it. I really enjoyed it. I think it was Shane even that made fun of me for liking it, which is fine. I get it.
It's the only movie I've ever turned off in my life.
Oh God!
I've watched it out of
I
all.
liked it
You
too.
have bad taste. You have
I
bad
enjoyed
taste,
it too. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I mean, it wasn't a masterpiece, but I enjoyed it.
For sure. But I really have enjoyed this show. So Pete, I saw you nodding your head when I brought this one up. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's funny. It's taken a few. I'm up to date now. I finished it, episode 5 last night, and it's definitely grown on me. And I think for 2 reasons. I'm not necessarily that. I think the storyline's good, and there's been some good action. But for me, there's 2 things. Firstly, Samuel L. Jackson. He's a legend. He's fantastic, and for me, he's as Samuel L. Jackson as he's ever been for a long time in this. He's very much like his dialogue and his quips, and it's good to see him break free a bit from the Nick Fury was quite a controlled sort of performance, and now we're just getting we're getting these Pulp Fiction style quips and jokes and everything. And also Olivia Colman, she can do no wrong. She's fantastic in everything at the moment, and her scenes with her are great, and she's like really sarcastic performance. So so it's weird. So like the actual story, I'm a bit like, oh, okay, yeah, it's all right, but I think it's those couple of performances from those actors that's drawing me back in to watch more.
For sure. Do you guys think and I want to hear from the chat as well, if we could get a Hot Toys of Nick Fury, either a reissued version of the younger representation of Nick or this older version, what would you guys want Hot Toys to do? Put it in the chat for me. Young or old Nick Fury?
We
Love to hear
definitely
from
need
you. What do you guys think?
Fisherman Fury. Yeah, definitely.
Fisherman Fury. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said old too, Classy Thomas? Yeah?
Yeah.
For sure. Shane, have you seen the show? I know you were getting a little fatigued on Marvel shows.
I've yet to watch one and go back and rewatch. And for me, like a stamp of approval or something that I really, really love is that I go back and rewatch it. Like, I've rewatched The Mandalorian season 1 and 2 multiple times. I've rewatched my favorite movies uncountable times. I watched the first episode of this, and then it did enough to get me to watch the second episode, and I haven't watched the second or third or anything because I went away on holidays to Portugal and came back, and it was really, so I haven't got around to it. But I like that there's a few built up, and I'm told that well, before the show people were saying it'd have Winter Soldier spy espionage vibes. So Winter Soldier's one of the best MCU movies, so I am looking forward to seeing it. Also, someone put up a photo. It's like there was a promotional image of Nick Fury with his beanie hat, and then what's the dude's name? Is it Martin Freeman with the beanie hat on? And someone tagged it saying it was like Lael and Shane. I thought that was quite funny.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to binging it during the week.
Cool, man. I would definitely recommend it. Mike Latoris here says, I once parked Colby Smolder's car.
Oh, wow.
That sounds like innuendo, but if you actually did, that's awesome. She seems like a cool lady. Robin Sparkles, guys. Come on, Robin Sparkles. Earth616 Collector says, Old Fury from the end of the last episode. 100%. Thalia Meyer says, Secret Invasion is a really good Marvel TV show. Love Olivia Colman. And I will also say, I have a mega soft spot for Amelia Clark. The fact that she is in this show and still obviously a badass and wonderful actress as well as beautiful. I would really like to have her in my Hot Toys collection. I think that would be cool, especially, and hopefully this isn't a spoiler, if we had a Skrull head version to swap out as well. I think that could make a really cool Hot Toy. I gotta say, I after this show, I'm hoping that Skrulls become something Hot Toys considers. I'm sure they will. But,
there's an Irish guy in it as well.
To.
There's an Irish guy, an Irish actor in it called Killian Scott. And he was made famous. There was a show in Ireland about the gangland, we have drug gangs and stuff like that in Dublin. Had I think it was 4 seasons, called Love Hate, and it was really, really good. And he was in it, and he was excellent in it. So that you probably know the guy. Killian Scott. He's
I gotta look him up.
There's got black hair in it. I think he's.
Yeah.
I can't remember what character.
Killian Scott.
Yeah.
Pull out real quick. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's the henchman. He's like the main. He was the second in line, second in charge.
Yeah.
To the bad guy. Cool. Gravik is the main bad guy there. So,
Yep.
anyways, guys, great chat. I love that so far. That wraps up the entertainment section for this show, guys. So far, we're gonna move into some figure news. We do have 41 people watching live, so thank you guys for coming in on a Let's Get Nuts Sunday. I appreciate all of you. If you haven't already, can you hit the like button? Would definitely help the traction on the video week over week. And of course, subscribe to the fellas below me as well. They're all lovely dudes spending their time on a Sunday with me, making it a fun show. So hit the subscribe, hit the like button, all the good stuff, and let us know if you haven't already, young Nick Fury, old Nick Fury, both. What one would you guys get? Let me know. Guys, this popped up in my feed in this past week, which is an interesting release. This is from Present Toys. We're looking at the third-party figure name Half Face. Now, this character comes straight out of the Boardwalk Empire television show. And I have to say, as much as I liked that show when it was out back in the day, I say back in the day because it was at least 10 years ago now, based on my recollection, maybe even more. This character was cool in it, and I think the figure actually looks pretty solid. It looks a lot like the actor and what he looks like when he takes off his little glasses faceplate thing. Character didn't last a ton of time in the show, but I liked his presence for what it was. And it's a cool looking figure from Present Toys. To me, it's just a little too late. I have no desire to collect this line now, even if I think it's cool, and I have some nostalgia for that old show. But Pete, have you seen this yet? Is this your first time seeing this figure? What are your thoughts on
I
it?
did see it a couple of days ago. I just think it's like the most insensitive third-party figure name ever. I appreciate that he's a fictional character from a TV show, but wasn't he injured in World War One, and that's why he's got this. I think so, yeah. There was a bomb went off or something, and he's shrapnel. And obviously that happened to a lot of people in real life, and these things did exist, but they, created these like face things they wore. So it was. I mean, we have a laugh at these names, and I guess that there's no malice meant, but I just kind of looked at it and went, "Ooh, that's a horrible name." But from objectively, I think the figure looks really good actually. But yeah, who's buying Boardwalk Empire figures now?
For sure.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, this looks like the strongest offering. Like, you see the Nookie here. Nookie? Is it Nookie? Nucky.
Yeah.
Nucky.
Nookie,
You did it all for the Nookie. The Nookie.
Freudian slip.
On the right-hand side. It doesn't look as good, in my opinion. I think this figure looks like significantly better, or more like the actor likeness.
Yeah, definitely looks like, yeah.
For sure. And like all the stuff he comes with is pretty cool. Like the different outfits and everything. The tailoring on the body looks good.
Base. I mean,
yeah. Half face on the base.
Shocking.
That's awesome. Feezy, were you ever a Boardwalk Empire fan? Does this stand out to you at all, or not?
No,
so much?
yeah, I have no idea who this is, and yeah, never saw Boardwalk Empire. I will say though, it's for those who are into that. It's cool that they're getting this. I mean, I know it's really niche, but still, it's just cool that they're making something for every type of figure of different IPs out there, right? So just leave it to third parties to do that, but. I have no interest in this, but it's cool for those who are like yes, finally Boardwalk Boardwalk Empire figures.
Legit. I think it also highlights for me how strong third-party releases are starting to become, right? I mean, like this has made me unlocked a memory from, as I said, a decade ago of a show I used to love and watch with my buddies, like back before I was even figure collecting. And now it's like, that reminds me of a time, which for me, as soon as I can say that reminds me of a time, it immediately makes me want to buy it more. Even though I really don't need this in my collection. Like you said, it's pretty niche. But Shane, are you a Boardwalk Empire fan, or ever were? And would you consider this, or would you rather see like a Peaky Blinders line? Because I know you really like that show.
This could go in with your Peaky Blinders.
Could.
Yeah, it could, but it won't.
Half face.
I gotta say, guys, I had tempered expectations for those Big Chief Studios, Arthur and Thomas Shelby. I've only unboxed the Thomas, but I'm really impressed. I'm happy because there was things I thought there was going to be wrong with it, but I'm really happy with it. This, I never watched the show, so therefore I have no interest. But I will say, I will counter this. This is not the most insensitive third-party name I've heard, because I had to double check and I looked it up. But Young Rich did a Ned, as in, from Spider-Man No Way Home, and they just called it Fat Boy.
Yep.
That
Could
was
have been
it.
guy in the chair. Could have been so many things.
Yeah.
But
One thing I'll say about this is that I wish third party had that, or sorry, I wish Hot Toys had that. Let's do a random figure from years ago attitude that these third party did.
Right.
Because if they just delved back and just picked some character out of some show or some movie and just did it, and people go, where did that come out of? That's amazing.
Yeah. It's funny because a lot of these third-party companies, So Present Toys, Premier Toys, when they first started, they went after all of these really high-price custom figures, and so there was a Nucky that was out, and it was, the suit was by Tory Box and all this kind of thing, and it was thousands of pounds. And they've obviously now they've got to that point where they've kind of done those copies, and now they're expanding the lines, because we never had this guy from anyone before. So, but yeah, I don't know how many these they expect to ship, because I don't think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I was gonna also bring up. We always hear the stories to these third-party companies who start these making figures because these are the figures they want to see, right? So these the people who have present toys, they're probably just wanted to see figures of themselves and decided, you know what, I want to see figures, I'm going to make them, and might as well offer it to whoever else wants them. And Howard Chan is a big Star Wars fan, right? He started off with like Predator and I forget the other Aliens, right? And then INART, he's really into what is his name? Viper. I forgot what his go-to is. Was it a Dark Knight?
Lord of the Rings.
Help me out here. I can't remember,
which,
but
sorry?
yeah. What's that?
For who, sir?
For Queen Studios, Viper. He was like a really big fan of. I forgot who he was, but
Well,
anyways,
I think it was the Dark Knight, because he had done his own Joker prior to coming out with his own Joker.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, yeah, so it was Dark. Yeah, so my point is basically like, these companies start because people want to see figures of certain things and they just make them themselves. And so maybe these present toys here wanted to see figures personally and decided to make them pass them out.
12-inch Moose Stream says, I'd rather see some Doctor Strangelove figures, Slim Pickens on an A-bum, essential. I don't Doctor Strangelove is before my time, good sir. I don't know enough of that line that I would get excited about that one. But again, niche collectibles are the way to go. And I think it was Shane who said, like, wouldn't it be cool if Hot Toys just revisited some old stuff that you don't expect every once in a while? I think that would be really, really cool.
What I'm going to do for you, this is just for you, Ben.
Okay, okay.
I will promise you that for every third-party figure you bring up,
Yeah.
I'm going to give them my own custom name. So
Whoa.
for Half Face, I'm going to dub him
Here we go.
Bombhead.
Okay.
So he's Bombhead.
Hashtag bombhead.
Yeah,
You'll have to
I don't
see
know what's
it.
worse now.
Yeah, the channel just got suppressed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Ben Thomas Show no longer exists on
Yeah.
YouTube. Explosive comedy from Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
Thomas, I'm going to stick with you then. Have you ever, in your collection, so when you think about all the figures you have behind you, all the toys, maybe not even necessarily 6 scale, have you ever said to yourself, oh, I would love this figure. If they ever make it, I would buy it. And then a company makes it, and then you're like, shit, now I have to buy it because I said I would. Because this happened with me with this figure this week from Sdcc.
Wow.
Getting teased. This Phantasm figure from Batman the Animated Series. I said literally 2 weeks ago, because I've got the 7-inch one, that if they ever made a 6 scale version of this character, I would feel compelled to buy it. And of course, 2 weeks
They
later,
got
they
you.
show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Mainly with Dragon Ball figures. So they had a Trunks figure that they did with, I can't remember the third-party figure, and so I bought him. I bought the kits for Goku and Vegeta and put them together. But if anybody came out with a 1/6 line of them, I would immediately. I mean, I want them to make Android 17 and Android 18. I want them. I want them bad. So yeah, but absolutely, I have. I love Dragon Ball. If they came out with one and they did a really good job, I would get them. And pretty much, I also would do that for pretty much most of my anime shows. I love anime, and whenever they do a really good 6 scale figure of them, I feel like I need to have it.
Sorry, Marco from 1/6 has got me distracted here because he's saying Ben has the 7-inch one confirmed. I figured it was bigger. I thought he was talking about the figure, okay, in the picture, because you can also see that I've stolen Marco's 1/6 photo on the right hand side, because he's actually at SDCC right now. SDCC getting real-time footage, so to which I'm very jealous. So Marco, sorry I didn't ask for this picture, I just stole it from your Instagram, but you're the man. Thanks for giving me a tease, to which I could not ignore, because now I want this freaking figure. What about you, Shane? Has that ever happened to you where you're like, if they ever make this, I'll buy it, and then feel a little pigeonholed when they immediately make it? Or you're so cold and calculated, cold in a good way, calculated when it comes to your figure purchases? So
I kind of reserve the right to change your mind as well from time to time.
for sure.
But typically, though, if I do say, if they do this right, I put in that word right, I will get it, because I would have loved the Zoe Kravitz Catwoman. Then they released the Kivit girl, and I'm like, nah, sorry, that don't count. Do you know? So, typically, if I'm saying something outside, especially if you're saying something on the internet, like you're on a stream or live, it's kind of like, you kind of.
Once it's on the internet, it's there forever. Everybody that has heard me say that I wanted this figure in 6 scale, I'm not kidding, has poked me to be like, it's available, did you see it? I'm like, yep, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I said I was going to. It's going to look awesome, I think, in the collection, so we'll see. Peyton23 here says, this movie is coming out in 4K for the anniversary. I actually literally saw that right before the show started today, to which I will buy, because it's one of my favorite animated films of all time, and I love Batman the Animated Series, and I don't own that one. I've only watched it on streaming services, so I think that if they do a cool like steelbook version with it, I think that would make it a purchase for sure for this guy. But let's move on, Pete, because I want to get your thoughts on this Exo 6 release from this past week, or pre-order, I should say, not a release, pre-order for Major Kira Nerys from Deep Space Nine. What are your thoughts on this release so far, or this pre-order? And is this one that you would consider for your affection of Deep Space Nine?
No, not really. She was a great character in the show, definitely. And I just not a massive fan of this look, and it's not one that I remember. I don't know. Is this an early costume or
earlier season when she still had short hair? Yeah.
Yeah. The sculpt's okay as well. The one on the left doesn't look like her at all. The one on the right is better with the one in more contrasted lighting. A bit. I think it's okay, but it's not. I mean, I was never going to collect a Deep Space Nine crew anyway. I think it's okay. I think it's it's a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's going to blow anyone away. I am just itching for news of Wrath of Khan. Hoping that we'll hear something soon.
So Star Trek Con in Vegas is coming up in 2 weeks, I believe it is, in August. And Exo 6 is going to have a booth there. 6 Scale Mafia, or Anthony from 6 Scale Mafia, has confirmed he's going to be actually at that booth doing quite a bit of the videography for the show.
I am 100% in for the Holy Trinity of Kirk, Spock, and Bones. I don't feel the need to have Khan, and I probably won't buy Savick either. But the big three, 100%.
Well, they've had 2 Saviks too, so
yeah.
Which Savick would you want? I guess is the question. But
neither. I'll just go with the 3.
There you go.
That's all I need. Yeah.
I think that this figure is better than what I was expecting, but there was still some tweaks that were needed. So I think whenever you're shrinking down a movie or show realistic version of a costume into 1/6 scale, there's things that need to be factored in. So, for example, the print in the diamond print on her sleeves is really exaggerated when it comes to the figure. When you watch the show, that black lining, which apparently is red lining, red threading, is so minimal that it just looks more like imprintation in the outfit as opposed to like a defined pattern. So it's a little aggressive, but from, you know, like, again, if you're not comparing a still of the show to the figure, in your mind's eye, I think that can still be absolutely passable. I think it's cool that she's only $215 price point. Again, I say cool just because that's still on the lower side. She does have the Bajoran phaser, which is a new accessory. We haven't seen that before yet. We also haven't seen her comm badge that's on her outfit yet. That's the Bajoran comm. So I think that is cool. That's, again, just a little bit of extra, still keeping that squashed price point down. The figure photography, in my opinion, is where Exo-6 is truly lacking lately. I don't have all the photos of this character here, unfortunately, but if you guys want a more deeper dive on my thoughts on this, I did do a post in the Ben Thomas Show of this figure specifically, where I dive into all the photos, but there's a couple photos where her outfit looks red, like straight red, like cherry red, and then there's some photos that it looks like this orange color. In the
What
show,
color is it supposed to be?
it's supposed to be kind of like a reddish brown orange kind of color. So it's a hard color, I think, to take a photo of. But if you do any editing or the lighting's a little weird, it makes it look really vastly different for the figure. Point though is that Exo-6 is trying to market these figures for sale to people. If they take more time and effort and money on the photos, I honestly think that they'd sell better. Figures like Harry Kim that I've notoriously panned for like looking like sculpted butter in the photos, I've had other Star Trek collectors reach out to me to say, Ben, it's actually not that bad in person. Like once you get it in hand, it looks like the actor, but in the photos, I'm like, nope, I didn't want to buy it. It turned me right off. The photos, at least of the Deep Space Nine line so far, being Quark, the Ben Sisko, and Kira here. I think am I missing anybody else? Oh, we've seen Odo teased as well. Those figures look pretty good, especially in comparison to the Star Trek Voyager line. I think the Voyager so far has been the softest, unfortunately. But I'm excited to see more characters from Deep Space Nine. I'm really hoping we get a chance to see a Worf from not only Next Generation, but also maybe the red outfit in Deep Space Nine. I think that could be pretty cool.
Now, Ben, I know that she's not third party, but I'm going to name her the Lady in Burnt Orange.
The Lady in Burnt Orange. At least I won't get demonetized for that one, Thomas. Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. Tugathru says, Ben Thomas, you should have a real life picture of the actress for comparison. Okay, that's fair. Let's see here. Akira Near. Let's see. She's got a very interesting name. Her real life name is Nana Visitor.
Yeah.
Which is a very
aliens.
let's see here. Let's bring this up real quick for everybody. Just so we know. I don't have the side by side as requested, but I can share my screen and show you at the very least. This is kind of what she's trying to look like here in the figure format. So
that does look like more of a... Okay. That's a big color difference.
So again, I think though, just in all fairness, anytime you compare any figure likeness directly beside an actor likeness, it always looks off because people are not made of plastic and they're not in static positions.
Flashback to the figure.
Back to the figure.
Okay, I was looking to see if her nose had those little ridges.
They do. Yeah, that's part of her species.
Yes.
Yeah, as a Bajoran.
Earrings.
Yeah, I think it's cool that they did the earrings. All the earrings do look a little on the plastic side, though, on the figure, whereas obviously they're like a metallic earring in reality. The hair also, I think, like it's styled okay. It's just not my favorite style for this actress, even in the show. So it's not a figure I will collect, but I've been pretty honest with fans of the Ben Thomas Show that for me, Exo-6. I've had kind of wavering expectations and experience with them so far, but I would say that I'm still most excited for Next Generation. I've got the Spock Standard Edition, which technically is the deluxe edition, on order. I'm excited to get that in hand. So we'll see, but Next Generation is probably what I'll collect most
Data,
of.
do you mean? Not Spock.
Data. Sorry, thank you. When I say Spock, oh my god, I was thinking Data and Spot.
Yeah.
Data and Spot. Not
You know,
Spock, yes.
I think I think a secondary name could be Sexy Rich Nose Lady.
So sexy and Rich nose lady. Oh,
Rich
there we
nose.
go.
Ridged nose. Yeah.
Oh, Ridge nose.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's drifting into dangerous territory now.
Yeah.
Move along.
Blazin Nation says DS9 for life. You love to see it, and Blazin for sure. You also love to see it, guys. Let's move on here. I have almost nothing to say about this, but I thought it was worthy of highlighting because I'm happy that somebody knows.
Yes,
I
One
don't
Piece.
have any
Pick me.
knowledge of One Piece, to be honest. So this being a coming soon from Hot Toys Collectibles, I've looked at photos of what the characters look like from this show, and they're pretty epic looking. I'm curious to see how they would bring that into figure format. Classy Thomas, SpongeBobSquareBalls. You're happy about this?
I'm
Tell me
very
more.
happy. I actually saw the Netflix trailer for it, and it looks like it. Well, it's hard to say whether or not it's going to be any good. I don't know how their acting is going to be, but I love One Piece. That is, I've not seen all of the One Pieces because just like with all anime, they probably have about 1,000 or so episodes, but it is such a fun and inviting thing. It's about basically they're pirates and they're out there trying. This guy in the middle with the straw hat, he's a young kid who basically gets a whole bunch of people together and they become his crew, and they call them the Straw Hats, and they have adventures and they're out trying to find this big treasure called the One Piece. And it was basically put out and hidden by another pirate. So it talks about all their things, and he, the guy right over here to the far right with the flames on his arm, that's his brother Ace, and they gained their powers because they ate this thing called dragon fruit. And the dragon fruit, basically makes them so they can't float, but also like he can burst into flames. One Piece has real stretchable limbs that he can kind of stretch out real long, and he's also able to make his fist really solid. And, it's hard to describe, but it's real campy and real fun. And I saw the Netflix, and what they did is that for One Piece, they actually showed him where he was actually kicking somebody and his legs stretched out. I was say, oh man, the effects look really nice on that trailer. And I was like, wow. I said, if they get Mr. Fantastic looking like that when the Fantastic Four comes out, I'm really going to be jazzed about this. So I'm excited about the Netflix, and I'm kind of excited to see how the Hot Toy figures come out.
Look at the size of this one in the back. Sorry to interrupt. Like, what? That is insane. What's like? Can you imagine that in 6 scale? That'd be like half my Billy cabinet.
Well, and it's really funny because if you go to the Netflix One Piece and see the actors, they actually really do look realistic. They look like real people. But yeah, I would love to see how they do some of these figures because they have giants and so like that's One Piece right there, and I mean that's Luffy rather, Monkey D. Luffy, and those are all of his pirate friends. So they kind of do look like real people in the things. But as you can see, their anime styles are quite different. So I'm kind of excited to see how this Netflix. I can't wait till August.
Cool, dude. Well, I'm excited for you then. As I said, this is definitely not on my radar, but I mean, the characters all look extremely interesting, and we've seen, like, of course, Dean the Dream, right, over on Collecting Weekly. He's shown me some of his amazing animated anime figures slowly that he's appreciated over time, especially ones from even things like Final Fantasy that look fantastic. So I mean, obviously, Hot Toys is capable of creating some pretty unique stuff.
Yeah.
But some of these characters look so crazy that I think it could be a really funky looking collection if they do it well. So we'll see. Well, let's stay tuned on this one, Thomas. So when we see more, I'll make sure I bring you back on that show, buddy, to get a first reaction of the excitement there. Does anybody else have a take other than Thomas here on this guy at this point?
I was just gonna say, kind of touching on what Tukatru was saying here. Yeah, I had the same thought. Thomas, did you watch the Cowboy Bebop live
I didn't see
action?
that one either yet.
I did not. I actually was very disappointed with the Bebop.
Okay.
I saw a piece of an episode and it wasn't very good.
Gotcha. Yeah, 'cause I was gonna say because they're not off to a good start with the transition from anime to live action so far with just that one. I can't remember if they did another one, but so yeah, hopefully it doesn't follow the same suit on that. And One Piece ends up they learned from their mistakes on that one. I haven't seen it either, but I just heard it bombed and it didn't do that well.
Yeah, I hope it does well because they really do need to do justice to this. And I know it's difficult to take some concepts, especially because anime is it's not like a superhero movie. Anime is just completely over the top.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to translate that into what we would see in our world.
Right.
So I know it'll be difficult, but I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope hopeful thoughts and expect good things because that's one of my favorite properties. So I really do want to see this.
Yeah.
Well, and like Payton 23 here says, it's nice seeing Hot Toys doing different IPs, right?
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off there, Feezy.
I was gonna say also one other one just popped in my head I haven't seen but I heard what didn't do that well was Ghost in the Shell with I think Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, that was
in
pretty bad.
That was a movie and I haven't seen it. I've seen the anime but not the live action
She
movie.
looked good
I
in
heard
that
it.
suit, though.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
did.
yeah, she succeeded in that suit.
Yeah, yeah.
She
definitely.
succeeded in this.
Yeah, but yeah, me and Shane and I were talking about this earlier. I noticed here it doesn't say 1/6 collectibles in these, and the same with League of Legends. I don't know if we'll touch on that, but whereas in the sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but in the Prey teaser it had 1/6 in there. So I don't know if that was a typo on the Prey or if that's actually kind of hinting at these aren't going to be 1/6.
These are like cause babies or
collectibles.
something.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Or they
That
could
was
make
just something I noticed.
statues.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
or statues.
fair.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something I noticed.
Absolutely, but the naming, I've noticed the titles with some of these teases have been kind of a little all over the place because there's even the Loki in Throne that we'll take a look at in a little bit. At one point there it said statue and then it said 1/6 collectible, so I'm not sure 100% which one it is now at this point.
Yeah.
It might be one of those. What do they call them? They say something premium figure, which actually is a statue because I've actually seen some of these premium figures and I'm like. And when you look at them, they show all the different angles, but the figure is not articulated. It's like a little statue. And I'm like, why don't you just call it a 1/6 scale statue?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So then I'll stick with Shane on this next one quick. Shane, the Prey movie came out about a year ago now, or maybe a little bit less. And this one took me by surprise because I would say that while I liked some of the original Predator films, I'd kind of lost my interest slowly over time for them. They kind of faded into my nostalgic memory, and I was okay with that. And then this movie was released on Hulu, I believe, at the time, and it blew me away. I did not know what to expect. I watched it. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I loved the main actress in the film. I can't remember her name now. Naru, thank you. I thought she was an absolute badass in the film.
Yeah.
And I got really excited about this announcement. But then watching Leal over on the 1/6 scale, man, go sub to his channel. I know he's getting close to 4,000 as well. He mentioned that he had noticed the green writing on the bottom here, like you guys were talking about, saying that Hot Toys 1/6 scale collectible coming soon. So Shane, what do you think? If we only got one from this line, is it going to be Neru or is it going to be the actual Predator itself? What do you think?
Are you on the Hot Toys Facebook page here, or are these slides you made?
These are slides that I made. I'm not on the Facebook
All right,
page.
so
have they updated us?
No,
okay.
But if you know the way this is the picture, but it had a little few lines on it, and it said, basically watch out for this creature. So it
It's
almost confirms that it is the feral predator, which I'm cool with.
fair.
I wouldn't worry too much about the S or present or lack of, because a lot of the times things we've seen, like obviously maybe they write this stuff in Chinese and then it gets translated and stuff get lost in translation and stuff mistakes get made, but it is a good pickup, and I think they're just going to do the Predator and that's it. I don't think you're going to see the dog or Naru.
That's shitty in my opinion, to be honest. I honestly feel like we need both. The movie itself was called Prey. It was about her. She is the main character of that film, not the Predator, despite how cool he was. Or I guess, though, I wonder if you're going to say this, Shane. maybe the Predator was actually the prey because she comes back as a badass at the end. Oh, okay. What
I was going to say is, what I was going to say is put up a poll, and if it's a choice between Naru, as cool as she was, and the Predator, I think a lot of people the majority would select the Predator.
I don't even know how to do a poll yet. So guys, let us know just in the comments. What would you guys rather see if you had to choose from prey, her or the Predator? For me, I feel like okay. In terms of my collection, I would rather have the Predator, I think. Just if I had to pick one, because it was badass. But I really want, like, at least the 2-pack, if anything. I feel like they have to come together. Or give us both. It would just feel weird.
The dog.
The 3-pack. Her brother and the dog. It's not even her or the Predator. Can you imagine?
Here's the dog. Here's the dog.
That's also, One Six Fix is saying English, MF. Love to see it. Do you speak it? Yeah. I feel like both is required. Thalia Meyer says both. Blazing Asian says they would want both. Yeah, I don't know. What about anybody else here before we move on? Have a take on this? What they'd rather see? Pete, any thoughts?
I love the movie. I wasn't a massive fan of the Predator design, to be honest. And for me, it's always the OG 87 Predator look. I preferred the Naru figure, to be honest. But obviously, they wouldn't bring her out on her own. It's always going to be the Predator first. But yeah, it'd be good to see her, because that could be a really cool, figure with all the stuff she could come with and everything. But yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. So speaking of cool figures then, this popped up also, of course. We finally got the release of this Hot Toys Classic Loki. And I gotta say, I kind of thought that Hot Toys wasn't gonna give us this when they originally solicited it, because of course they were up against the So-So Toys competition at the time, and the So-So Toys one, from the folks who have seen that one in hand or had it in hand, have told me it's amazing. The likeness to Richard E. Grant on the So-So one was fantastic. I think it looks equally fantastic here, if not even superior. This is kind of a cool figure, and I've got a bit of a Loki setup happening already, kind of growing or emerging out of my collection. So I'm definitely considering trying to get this guy in the collection. But Pete, I remember you said that you had kind of varying opinions on the Loki show. But obviously Richard E. Grant is a very classic actor. Cool to have him in the collection potentially. He won't be around forever. What are your thoughts on this character or figure?
Yeah, I think the figure's great. It's not so. I'd say I've been out of Marvel for a while, and I don't think that a company like Hot Toys really cares about what third parties are doing. They're doing their own thing, and we always knew this would probably be a stronger figure. But you pay money, you takes your choice. It's probably almost twice the price of the So-So Toys. So. And a lot of people won't buy third party unlicensed. I think for what it is, it's fantastic. I think both likenesses are great. If you're a big Loki fan, you got a Loki collection, he fits in great. Beyond that, I mean, he certainly wouldn't fit in my collection. But objectively, I think they've done a great job with him.
For sure. I'm just pulling up the So-So Toys one here as well, just to see a little bit of a kind of comparison.
Yeah.
I will say, actually, I do think the Hot Toys one is better now that I'm seeing it, even though I was pretty blown away by the So-So Toys one as well. But you're right, it should be. The classic Trickster, what would you have called this one, Thomas?
I would call him Tricky Pete.
Tricky.
Oh, wow. I was going with mustard horn guy.
A mustard horn guy. Oh my goodness.
Classic horns.
Yeah. I like mustard horn guy. That's a good one, Pete.
Mike Latorre says, I found my wallet comfortably chilling in the Fortress of Solitude when I saw this figure. Fair enough. What about you, Shane? Is this one that's on your radar for pickup?
No. I got the Loki. I have the same Loki as yourself, the Endgame one, and keep the helmet on. Happy enough with it. That's when I think of Loki. I do think of Avengers 2012 or Endgame, whatever. But it looks great. Like they've nailed the likeness of Richard E. Grant. I thought it was a really clever way and an Easter egg of getting the classic look from the comic books into the live action. But I'm so glad that every single MCU villain or hero does not look like he's wearing his pajamas. It's just like
I'd buy a
things-
Banana Man figure, definitely.
A banana man.
some things are never going to work when you lift them directly from comics and put them on screen.
My friend Hannah says, "What a happy insect man for sure." I can see it. I can see it. Lael says he looks like he's got the Kermit the Frog collar, which I had many Kermit the Frogs when I was younger. I can absolutely see that. Feezy, if it came with the candy cane chair, would this up your desire to pick up this figure potentially?
No, I would. This is I don't think this is doesn't call to me at all in any sense. So I think I'm with you and Shane. If I were to have a Loki, I don't have one yet, but if I were to go and be the end game one as well, that'd be my the representation Loki that I prefer. So yeah, I don't. Sure. I mean, if they just gave it to me for some reason, like, here, you can have this, then sure, I'll take it. But and then give it to someone who really does want it. But yeah, I don't think I would still pass on it if it came with that awesome chair.
Jesus, this would make for an interesting figure third-party name as well.
Me so horny.
I could see that.
Yeah, it's a winner. That's a winner. Yeah.
Especially the one when you show the picture of him with that big grin on him.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like
Good
when
job, Mike.
it's kind of to Thomas, you mentioned it, like when you try and get the I want to call them the celebrity panelists out there, like Lael and Justin and some of those guys, to say names of figures and how funny it is. That would be one that would be a funny one to try and get people to say out loud. Andre, best name. Yeah, totally agree. Then Thomas, I will stick with you on this next one here. Well, not stick with you, but we'll go to you first. The Anakin, the backstage version here, apparently, with rooted hair, has been teased by Hot Toys this week as well. I gotta say, this photo of the hair I think looks pretty cool. But then I've seen some photos floating around from different angles from the con that make it look pretty permy, a little floofy, a little odd. Is this one that you're interested in getting for your collection? Do you already have an Anakin in your collection? Did we freeze? Thomas?
Nope.
Oh, is it
Thomas,
me?
right?
I'm sorry. Oh,
Sorry, I did ramble there for a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Thomas,
yeah.
what do you think of this rooted hair version of Anakin?
I
From
mean,
the
this
backstage?
picture looks really good. I mean, you look at it and it really looks like you're looking at a person. It doesn't look like a figure at all. So I'm impressed with that. It will be interesting to see how the production versions would turn out, though. Especially with the hair, the wool hair. I mean, I root hair and make wigs, and it's really difficult to make. I mean, wigs take a lot of maintenance. Just take a lot of maintenance, and if you were to use a lot of product on there, you run the risk of it getting a little greasy and too slick. And if you don't use enough, then sometimes humidity might make things poof up a little bit. So that's the only concern I would have. But he looks amazing.
Absolutely. I'm definitely digging the look of it. Now, to me, when I look at this figure, it doesn't look like they've actually upgraded the Anakin all that much. They haven't given us the heads up as to whether this is leather or pleather. It still looks like pleather to me, but again, that's a hard thing to determine 100% by photos. But I'm worried that this figure price is going to go up through the roof, mostly because of the rooting, which rooting is expensive. We've had lots of folks in the chat tell us that before. I think 160's Nuts commonly comments on Collecting Weekly's show with regards to how expensive rooting is and getting a custom rooted job and stuff like that. But I don't know if I want to take the risk. I don't own an Anakin of this sort yet. And I've been kind of waiting for one to come that would kind of tickle the fancy. And while I think these solicitation photos look fantastic, I'm kind of with you, Thomas. I'm a little bit worried about what it might look like once you get it in hand. Even my rooted Joker from, what's supposed to be the most premium root job you'll ever find on a figure of all time. One of my two figures are definitely a little on the floofy side and required some beard balm in order to style it. So what do you think, Feezy, with regards to this figure release? Is this something that you feel confident that Hot Toys can deliver on with consistency once it hits production?
Yeah, I think they can because, as others have mentioned that discuss this, they kind of have to, right? I mean, if they're going to talk the talk, they have to show up. And this is you know, the similar conversation people were having before INART came out, right? There was some hesitation. There was some people saying like, oh, it looks awesome, that looks badass, but you know, we have to wait till we see it in hand. You know, they have to like put their money where their mouth is, and for the most part, they delivered, right? So I think now that they've shown Hot Toys that there's a market for that, I think now they're like, okay, well, if people are willing to pay that, maybe we should do the same thing. And if we're going to do this, though, we have to deliver. So it's, I think they're going to, I think before, you know, they've done rooted figures, but I don't think it's to the extent with the premium label in mind. Whereas this is, it seems like it's meant to be that, right? It's a new series is what they branded it as. And so, yeah, I think they know they have to deliver, or else, you know, it's just gonna, obviously it's gonna bomb. But yeah, I think part of it too. So in addition to INART showing them that, okay, yeah, there's a market for it, also, I'm pretty sure they were listening in those same conversations, those same streams, and people were saying, you know, oh, if only they did this with Star Wars figures, right? If they made Star Wars figures like this, the way that they did the rooted Joker type of thing. And so I'm sure they picked up on that and like, oh, okay, well, you know, people were asking for it. So I think that also gave them motivation to make this quote unquote new series. Granted, yeah, that sideshow con photo didn't look great, but again, you know, those are just really early photos. So if it comes out like that, then yeah, there's not looking good. But again, I think they know they have to deliver the goods for it to compete.
Well, and I obviously the people who set these up at the cons work, their employees like for these companies. I wonder if they just kind of get out of the box, follow an instruction sheet on how to kind of pose it up and then call it, or if they're tweaking the hair, if they're doing some of those things, right? I would say that it still looks pretty good on like this picture up in the top corner here from the con itself. It does look a little floofy for sure, but nothing I think a little beard bomb couldn't fix and kind of style down. What do you think, Shane? Do you think that they could keep consistent with a production model on this, or do you think we're going to get another Black Widow style figure where it comes with a little hair sleeve on it and you get what you get?
I've yet to see a Hot Toys figure with good rooted hair, and even the one that Wonder Woman one that they showed with the wool hair or whatever, like it looked, you know, good in the prototypes, but then didn't they have some of these on show and they didn't look good? So like like if they're doing this, they need to do it right. Like I think are they saying that this is fabric hair or something like that?
Wool hair, yeah.
Okay, let's look at it this way. If we'd never seen these photos and Hot Toys had posted on their Instagram and Facebook those same 3 photos,
the original
that looked absolutely stunning, it would have broke the internet.
Yeah.
Like these 3, the head sculpt looks amazing, the hair looks amazing. This one here, it's definitely not the worst I've ever seen. I think it maybe comes down to transport and stuff like that, and the people at Sideshow, maybe they're not styling it as good as, say, they're never going to style it as good as when you've just bought it and you're about to display it and you have to look at it every single day. You're going to put that extra effort into it.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? Whether you're a professional hairstylist or not. So I would be skeptical. I don't have the answer for you, to be honest, Ben. I'd be skeptical of Hot Toys rooted hair until I see them do it right. And let's be honest, they do almost everything else right. Their sculpts are on point. Their paint apps are on point. Their tailoring is on point. But for they're constantly improving. Even like we've seen them improving their diorama base. That Bespin Luke base is fantastic. It's an insult to call it a base. It's like a diorama. So they're upping their game in every faction. If they can nail rooted hair, that would be fantastic. I'll wait and see. But with this one thing, if this is like their premium line, their top notch line, you can't give us everything else the same. Like if you're throwing out pleather, that is just gonna just gonna be like someone's gonna come along and go, yeah, well, INART have stitching by blind nuns or whatever. Like it's like you know what I mean. So it's like don't do it half-assed. If you're gonna do it, if you're getting rid of the DX line or phasing out the DX line, who knows? And this is like the new this is the premium line. It's going to cost more, but it will be higher quality. Then it has to be more than just some rooted hair.
Yeah,
totally agree.
And look at the detail in the furrows of his brow. I mean,
it's fantastic.
that is not only amazing sculpting, but the painting that they had to do to get that. It looks so subtle, but I mean, I just can't help but stare. This is the kind of effect that I had when I saw that. Was it Erica? You know, the Lord of the Rings one. I mean, that was
Looks
the
like a
same.
photo.
Yeah, it looks just like a photo. Looks just like a photo.
Yeah.
Pete, then do you think with this, and I'm assuming this is called the backstage line, just because it's got backstage up top. I don't know if that connotes necessarily to a con thing, or if this is going to be the next like premium line, like we're suggesting. Do you think we'll see Hot Toys revisit other characters with sculpted hair currently, but add rooting instead for like this backstage line, or do you think it'll only be a handful that kind of come through?
Yeah, possibly. But I mean, as Shane said, this is the big test. I think this one we need to see. How they do with this one. If they can nail it, they can pull it off, then yeah, absolutely. The thing that interests me most about this, I think it looks great, is the buy-sell groups are flooded with Anakins for sale now.
Yeah.
Probably cheaper than you'd ever get them, before. Mostly the light side ones, because obviously we don't know whether there'll be a dark side version. But it's just funny that, £300 you can get one now. Not that people are going to see these things for a year and a half, 2 years, but they're already getting rid of the old ones. So if you want one, grab yourself a bargain. But yeah,
For sure. Jose G. Hernandez says here, this is definitely an improved likeness over the OG release. I have a comparison photo, and it's significantly better. And yeah, I think the face on this is insanely good. It makes me question Hot Toys sometimes, though, because like some figure likenesses are so good and like this, and it's just like it blows us away. And I feel like sometimes as a collector I have a bit of a short-term memory, because then figures like this pop up this week. This is a release of the Amazing Spider-Man Andrew Garfield version, and I feel really disappointed by this release. I was getting really amped up to have both a Tom Holland in my collection, as well as an Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire version. The Amazing Spider-Man is probably my favorite Spider-Man costume, but I would still say my nostalgia lies mostly with the Tobey Maguire films as being kind of still my highlights of my favorite Spider-Man films, especially, or most specifically, Spider-Man 2, being, in my opinion, one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, not just Spider-Man films. But this, we've got a 2012 version of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 figure that's existed in the past, and that sculpt is aged now for sure. The paint applications are aged. It had unique hand pegs at the time that pegged in kind of at a half point in the hand, as opposed to it being a full hand sculpt. So clearly they've updated that, and they've definitely updated the paint application on the head sculpt itself. But with regards to the licensing, I've heard, at least through the grapevine, I can't confirm 100%, but that Andrew Garfield hadn't given his permission for likeness out of the No Way Home film. So the reason we're seeing the Hot Toys version, and this is actually solicited as Amazing Spider-Man 2, I believe, is because this is the most recent permission that Hot Toys had in order to create this character. He looks too young, though. Obviously, it's not supposed to be necessarily the No Way Home version. And honestly, I feel like it looks like a cousin of Andrew Garfield, not necessarily Andrew Garfield himself. Now, the one thing I will say, and then I'll move to you guys, is in terms of my Spider-Man collection, the only time I would probably have head sculpts posed is if I had kind of like the pointing pose at each other and like make a couple funny photos, or to swap it out occasionally. But otherwise, I've always liked the mask sculpt on my Spider-Man. So most of the time I wouldn't have this sculpt on. But this guy's sold out already. He's gone. It's hard to, like, you can't get him if you're wanting him. Maybe in other distributors at some point, or secondary, but at least through somewhere like Sideshow, can't get him now. So Pete, what are your thoughts on this particular release now that we finally got to see what the production photos look like?
Yeah, it looks okay. As you say, it's a little bit. It was always a bit weird when they first listed it that it wasn't from the No Way Home. It was definitely from the original or the second movie. So, and that makes sense if they haven't got likeness rights to what Andrew Garfield looks like now. So it is a bit of a shame for people that wanted to put those three figures, particularly as the the Tobey Maguire we're going to get is definitely
Looks good.
Him now, like a much
Yeah.
older sculpt.
For sure.
So yeah, objectively, I think the figure looks okay. I don't mind the sculpt. I definitely could tell you who it is. Even there's no doubt there. It's possibly a little bit of a caricature feel to it, maybe like slightly big ears and nose. It's got that feel about it. But obviously the paint apps are better. It is a cool suit. It wouldn't put me off buying it if I was interested in picking it up. But it's just a tough one to kind of put futs into that No Way Home display if you wanted to do that. Him being a lot younger here than he is in that movie.
For sure. No, absolutely. Jose says here, we should have looked into the RCN head sculpt that was offered by Kit. It was $85 and the likeness was closer to the older No Way Home look. I did see that online, actually, Jose, and it was fantastic. For less than $100 to upgrade the sculpt like that, I think it's fantastic. But I feel like you shouldn't have to. But again, if Hot Toys couldn't get the likeness rights for it, it's not necessarily their fault at this point, right? OneSixthFigureFocus says, Pete almost said tough nut to swallow. Been there. Love to see it. For sure. What are your thoughts on this one, Shane? Was this one that disappointed you? You're relatively neutral on. What are your thoughts?
I'm not disappointed in it because this is pretty much what it showed on the prototype. There was from day one. It wasn't branded No Way Home. It was branded everything else. The lizard base was branded No Way Home. All the other, the integrated suit and the Toby, whether you're getting deluxe or regular, were branded No Way Home. So there was something going on, and this wasn't. It's a bit of a shame because you don't have he's not as old as he was in No Way Home. He didn't have the facial hair, and the hair was a bit more kind of like, I feel like his hair was a bit longer and all over the shop, messier maybe in No Way Home. But this is what was teased or shown in the prototype images, so I don't think collectors can be disappointed at this stage. I think the time to be disappointed was when they first put it up for pre-order and it was like, it's kind of younger. It's a bit of a shame, but like, look, I'm gonna pick it up anyway because I really like No Way Home, and I like the idea of having the three Spider-Man together posed as if they're having a chat. I'm not gonna give up on that dream.
Totally, man. Fair enough. Feezy, any other thoughts or takes on this figure itself, either the likeness or the supposed upgrades? Obviously, I just highlighted Jose's comment as well that there were a few other upgrades to the webbing and stuff. So I mean, it's good. That's good stuff. But what are your thoughts?
I'm with Shane. Same. The head sculpt could have been better, but I mean, it's still pretty good. It was still good enough for me to get. And then I did get that RCN Studios head sculpt. I jumped on it when I saw it because I saw it was limited to like I think 300. And I agree with you, Ben. Yeah, you shouldn't have to, but as Shane pointed out, this is what was advertised from the prototype. So I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, then I'll bite I'll pull the trigger on that head sculpt. So looking forward to that either way. And I'm looking forward to having all three Spider-Man in there, and just the whole Spider-Man collection, right, with all the others. I'm going to do my own, as I'm sure other people are, into the Spider-Verse or
cool
multiverse type of display type of thing, putting with like Miles and everyone else.
Fair enough. I think it has more to do with the likeness rights that they just couldn't upgrade it as much as I would expect for this type of, like, for collecting nowadays, right? Because again, we look at this Anakin and it's like, that is Hayden Christensen, like, holy crap. And then it's like, okay, this is not
right.
really the Andrew Garfield that I'm envisioning, it's just, but the suit is badass and it would still be a really cool collectible.
I think it's more Andrew's fault than Hot Toys' fault.
I think you're absolutely a nail on
God
nail
damn
on the
it,
head.
Garfield.
Right?
We're going to have to sit on
Having
a
said
letter writing campaign.
that Tobey Maguire figure is already getting close to being one of the most expensive figures I've ever pre-ordered. Clearly, because his likeness rights are insanely expensive. Because otherwise, that's just a relatively standard Spider-Man figure, in my opinion. Like, you are 100% paying for Tobey's face. Whereas clearly the cost on this one is a little bit lower as a result. Thomas, any other takes for you before we move on, good sir, on the Andrew Garfield figure?
No, I'm glad to have him.
If this was a third-party figurehead that we were looking at, what would you call this particular Spider-Man?
Let's see. I would call him No Way Home, No Way.
Oh my god! Is that your dog, Thomas?
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah.
She didn't like that name.
She
either.
didn't like that name. Yeah, I hate to see it. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Sorry, sweetie.
Pete, INART gave us the Heath Ledger Joker recently. We finally people got it in hand. I'm relatively happy with it. In fact, I'm actually quite happy with it. I have minor criticisms, but overall, it's at least the one version of mine anyways, is probably my favorite figure in my collection now. I love it. It's even the background on my phone. It's just blowing me away. There's a lot of Henry Cavill fans that exist in the world, and a lot of people who really liked Henry Cavill's Superman. And a lot of people who have been putting off buying Hot Toys Superman because they keep saying, I want to wait for INART. I want to see what INART will do. We were teased the feet floating in the air not that long ago, and we suggested that maybe magnets were at play, or maybe some kind of camera trickery.
You did.
Maybe he can fly, and it's amazing. But INART has finally given us a photo of at least the initial version or prototype of Henry Cavill here. And my personal gut check was initially, it looks a little off. But at first I was like, I don't know why I think it is. I think for me it was the eyes feel a little close together. But also not terrible. He just looks like he's a little nervous. Like, it's like he farted at the front of the plane and he's like, oh, I hope that cute girl in the back aisle doesn't know. It's like, it's not a confident look like Henry Cavill often has. And even when he's like serious and he's got kind of like this serious like look to his face, like he did in the court scene, for example, here, it doesn't look like he's worried. It looks like he's confident and serious. What are your thoughts of what we've seen from INART so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot better than anything we've had from Hot Toys. I've seen some comparisons with, so there's no doubt on that. We know that the tailoring is going to be fantastic, but again, they need to get it spot on, because there's a lot of people that are they know these suits, and that they'll be like already that S shield's too small, right? So there's things like that people will pick up on, and INART need to be on that, so that needs to be bigger, that S shield, and that's been a problem with a lot of the Superman figures, that the S shield is too small. I think I've seen a picture of the rooted hair one as well, which looked better.
I don't think I've seen the rooted one yet. Has that been circulating?
I thought I'd seen it, but whether it was genuine or not. I've never liked the Hot Toys version. I did have the original Man of Steel, but yeah, I sold him on. I wasn't a fan of that figure. Again, not one that I'm excited for, but it looks good. I think I don't know. For me, it's something to do with the top of the head. I think it curves in. It's too narrow at the top. I don't mind it.
Needs to be like a slightly wider forehead. His eyes are a little further.
Yeah, I don't mind it kind of from like the eyebrows down. Actually, as you say, it's not the right expression really, but I think it's the top of the head that's a bit odd for me. But I know a lot of people are excited about this, and obviously if they do a Batman as well, which apparently they're going to, so yeah, it's a good start, definitely.
But Shane, then, when we talk about INART and we talk about the price points and we talk about some of our expectations of what the company should give us, and I obviously I stream with Zach from Collecting Weekly, and he's been back and forth on this Gandalf figure for what feels like a year and a half now. I know it's only been months, but did he put a lot of time and effort into trying to get the printing on Gandalf's pants right, and getting the Moria staff, which was a win. They actually got that added to the box, and all of these details that should go into the research and development of a figure that claims to be the best. Hannah here mentions a really great point. This prototype doesn't even have the right color eyes for Henry Cavill. He has blue eyes, not brown eyes. Little detail, but it's the details that matter, right? If you're paying this level of price, if you're expecting perfection sort of thing out of a figure, getting something like that eye color wrong is just like head shake worthy, in my opinion. Like Marco said it well in the past, and I want your take on this, Shane. He said, if they're not ready to show us what's developed in the oven, like what's fully cooked, don't show it. because we'll tear it apart. And that's what I've seen the community doing lately. And they did exactly that. They released it, and it's being hailed and torn apart all in the same week. What are your thoughts?
I agree with Marco, but I'm going to counter that in 1 minute. 3 things about this. The logo itself, whatever about the size of the logo, now it could be just lighting, but the kind of there's the golden color underneath the S seems pretty dull compared to this image you're showing, but that again, it could be lighting. I think the forehead is too big, a smidge too big on the INART 1, and I think the middle of his face is a bit too wide. It's almost like his head is diamond shaped. Do you know what I mean? He's wide around from the eye line, the ears. I think it's definitely fixable. And remember when we first saw the INART Aragorn, if my memory serves me correct, the Vegas event, they didn't show it because it wasn't ready. Then they showed
it had been damaged in transit or something.
Something like that. But then they showed it a few weeks later. Like, I can't remember if it was a Singapore or a Taiwan event, a similar event. But they showed it, and people were saying this ain't it. And then they showed us the prototype images for Aragorn, and absolutely blew us away.
Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering. Now, this tinfoil hat on for a second. Marco's right. I would agree with Marco. Wait, get it right, show us. Everyone's talking about this now. Everyone's tearing it apart. So they put up the pre-order photos whenever they do, and if it's a significant step above this, and if it's at the same standard Aragorn, everyone will forget about this little video, and they'll be like, "My God, it's amazing!" And they'll almost be like, "They listened to us."
Reverse psychology.
Like, there's no such thing as bad press. Now that's a tinfoil hat. I'm going to take it off now. If this looks like this, if this was the pre-order photos and this is what we're getting, I wouldn't have any interest in this. I think it looks a bit goofy. I can tell who they're trying to get. I can tell who they're trying to get at, but I think it looks a bit goofy. Now, I do have the Justice League one, and it kind of bothers me a bit. I like the I'm not going to get into it, but basically it's paired with the Battle Damage Armored Batman. I'd love a BVS version to pair with the Battle Damage Armored Batman. It makes more sense, and just offload the Justice League one. But to be honest, I'm looking up the Justice League one now, and I think the head sculpt looks good. It's not amazing, but I really like the vibrance of the blue, and it just looks really good, pairs really well with that Battle Damage Armored Batman. So I'm very interested to see when the pre-order images go up, are we going to see this here, or is it going to be the Aragorn standard?
That'd be a weird way to do it, but I could see it because I agree with you. If they, look at all the comments that are coming through right now, right? He needs a wider forehead. Small issues will be fixed. The chin needs to be more pointed. Are his cheekbones a little too high? Like, a lot of feedback, which is just generating the hype train, right? The hype.
I'll tell you what, Ben. If we see the pre-order images for this in the next week, and it's significantly better than this. This was a marketing play.
You heard it on the show today. Let's
Right?
get nuts. The tinfoil hat exists
But-
and is real.
But if we don't see those images for a few months, then they've listened to us.
They've used this as feedback. Yeah.
But if we see the if we see the pre-order images next week and it looks like this, it's like, get the popcorn out.
And I think the weirdest part for me is that it's I want to say it's almost like an uncanny valley thing, whereas it's not even bad, it's just not, there's something that's off about it. And it's like, I think everybody's nailed it in terms of some of the tweaks that could exist, but it's such subtle tweaks that it's like, when you, I've seen a couple pictures of people that have literally split this over Henry Cavill's actual face, and it's really damn close. So it's just I don't know. I'll be curious to see what happens. If he can float by himself with some magnets or some shit, that would be really cool. But I don't have a lot of faith in their magnet ability quite yet, so remains to be seen. Feezy, I'll go with you last, and then we'll move on with you, Thomas, to the next subject here. Feezy, what do you think about Superman here? Has INART nailed it, or do you think we're going to see some improvements before?
I think we're going to see some improvements. I think it is a little off, but I mean it's pretty close, right? It's almost there. We obviously can tell it's Henry Cavill. I'm always the whole prototype situation is always left up to the individual to decide whether they want to pre-order, right? Because I think in most of the figures that I pre-ordered in any scale, any line, there's usually a disclaimer that says prototype shown, actual, product, final product may or may not be, may not look like this, basically, right? So there's always a variation, and I think we already are aware of that as collectors. And so, I think this is where the term comes from with anything, vote for your wallet, right? If there's something that you don't like, not only do you vote with your wallet, but yes, you also speak up and voice your concerns why. So if the companies, the manufacturers, the the vendors, whoever's selling these figures can see, okay, this isn't doing too well, why is that? Then they can start listening, if they're not already, listening to the groups, reading the chats, the comments, the forums, and seeing why. So if there's something that you're not happy with, then you don't pre-order, and then they're going to be like, okay, well, then that's tanking for some reason. I'll go back to 2099. I'm sure that's probably what, I don't know for sure, but I think that's what happened. The Hot Toys Spider-Man 2099 pre-orders weren't doing well. They probably went out and were listening to comments, reading comments, and like, okay, people will keep asking for some sort of fabric suit or something. So Hot Toys came back and they did that. Mm-hmm. But I think if more people still pre-ordered, right, with any figure, if people are still pre-ordering this Superman, for instance, then there's a possibility that it's going to tell them, okay, this is, people are still wanting this regardless of how it looks. Yeah, we'll try to do some improvements, but there's a chance that it still could come out this way, type of thing. So, it's always, that's all to say. It comes down to the buyer, the consumer, right? If they're willing to take a risk or a gamble in putting their money down in hopes that it'll come out better than this, right? Specifically this Superman. But if it doesn't, then are you okay with this right here, what you're seeing, or maybe slightly worse? It could go either way. Mm-hmm. So it's tough, man. That's just part of the being a collector, right? You always gotta outweigh the pros and cons there with that. And but yeah, I think this is close. For sure. I'm not personally interested in this figure, but I think it'd be good enough for me if I were to get it.
I've got the black suited Superman from the 2-pack, the Nightmare 2-pack, and I think the head sculpt on that looks fantastic in terms of likeness to Henry Cavill. Right now I've got the pink eye sculpt on because it's kind of fun to look at. He looks a little extra angry, but I don't know how I feel about giving feedback to a company like INART, I guess, at this point. I get with Hot Toys that sometimes they don't listen to us really at all until there's like rage in the community, and then they'll be willing to fix things at a distance at times. But they don't really take feedback all that much. INART has kind of positioned themselves as being a company that will take feedback, but then that's a bit of a slippery slope too, because like I mentioned with Zach earlier, he loves that character of Gandalf. He's been all over John from INART Studios, his inbox, right? Trying to get changes happening. And it's like, well, you said you wanted feedback, well, so I'm giving you the feedback, and then you kind of like ignoring us at this point. Like, but again, it's a slippery slope. At what point does the community or does the company have to say to the community, sorry, cut off line, we're not taking any more feedback, this is what we've made, take it or leave it. On the other hand, when we first saw the Heath Ledger Joker photo, the one where he's sitting and he's kind of pointing like this, and it looked so much like the movie still that it like boggled my mind that a 6 scale could look like that close to the actor. Boggled my mind. What I want to see out of INART is less community involvement required in order to nail it. Because while it's nice to give the feedback, I like being heard. On the other hand, I don't want to feel like I have to fight for releases either. I want them to be the premium company they suggested that they would be, and blow us away with every release if they can. If that's within their skill set, blow us away. We shouldn't have to criticize the eye color, at the very least. Likeness is something that can be subjective. Some people have said they think this is exactly like Henry Cavill and that we're all crazy if we don't think so. That likeness can be subjective, but things like eye color are not. You either nailed it or you didn't. That shouldn't be required for feedback. I want INART to show us pictures of figures that they're like going to give us. This is the best we can do. What do you think? And then if there's a couple tweaks at the end, maybe. But to me, this feels like kind of like you said, Shane. It's like a fishing lure just kind of thrown out in the pond. Like, this is kind of what we're working with. Give us all your feedback, and then we're going to come out with something that looks better. At least they'll probably give us something that's better, hopefully. But I don't feel like that should be required from the collectors paying this level of price. Or for, as I said, the suggestion that they would be the most premium line moving forward at 6 scale. But guys, let us know what you think in the chat, or if you're listening to the show on replay. What are your thoughts on Superman here? Are you one of those folks that thinks this is the best likeness of Henry Cavill we've ever seen? Or are you kind of siding with us here on the show today that you're like, some tweaks are needed? I would like to hear from you guys down below. Guys, we still have about 30 to 40 people in the chat. If you're just joining the show here, we've got about 10 to 15 more minutes left of a little bit more SDCC figure talk. If you haven't had the chance, please hit the like button and subscribe to my friends below me. They're all amazing guys and work really hard to make it a fun show for us. Earth616 Collector says, it honestly only needs a couple of weeks. Small changes will go a long way. And Jose G. Hernandez said these small issues will be fixed. Again, I hope that they are. I just wish we didn't have to hope for that. I had hoped for changes on my Doc Brown from Hot Toys, and they didn't change it. And I felt disappointed because I hoped for something that didn't end up coming to fruition, which sucked. Now, Thomas, I said I'd go to you next with regards to Star Wars, the Mandalorian line. We're seeing Moff Gideon in his, Beskar outfit, basically, here. The Moff DeLorean, we can call it. What are your thoughts on this tease? Is this one you're considering picking up for your collection?
I don't really have an answer for you. I don't really follow Star Wars.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I follow the old trilogy, but I'm not very familiar with things like the Mandalorian and things like that. So, the picture, I like the colors in it, but I don't really know anything about this character.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, not for everybody, right? Obviously, this has come from the most recent season 3 of Mandalorian. Spoiler alert, just in case you haven't seen it, we do get a chance to see Moff Gideon donning this outfit. And it was a pretty cool scene, I will give it that. It was a very cool looking character in the show, and immediately as a Hot Toys collector, I was like, oh yeah, this is one I would consider buying for my collection. And just like I said earlier today in the show, guys, you got to be careful sometimes what you wish for, because now it's come to fruition potentially, and I'm like, am I past it now? Do I feel like I need it for my collection? What do you think, Feezy?
Yeah, I think I might get this one. I obviously have to see how it ends up coming out, but yeah, I think this is cool. I really am digging that effect there, that pinkish purplish effect. That looks cool. But I'll probably, if I do get it, I'll probably just leave the helmet on and pair it with my other. Obviously, have him going up against Mando or maybe Paz Vizsla. I got that one on pre-order, so throw that in there, and it'll be a cool display just because it's obviously different, unique from the other Mandalorian figures that we have. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what other effects he comes with and how it'll come out.
For sure. Pete, did you you saw Mando season 3? I just remember, I can't remember if you loved it or not. Was this a figure that you were considering when you saw the show?
I didn't love it, but I didn't mind. I quite enjoyed the episode with Moff in his outfit and stuff. So yeah, this is always going to come. I think it was a cool look. It's very kind of. His outfit had a little bit of a Darth Vader vibe to it anyway, and this is kind of this was good. And I don't collect the Mandalorian line, and I've often said that as an OT fan, I'm jealous at the amount of releases that Hot Toys are gracing Mandalorian collectors. I think this will be a great figure. Presume it will come with a head sculpt, whether it be the same one or not. It'll be interesting, because I think that the first one wasn't bad, was pretty good. And obviously this is Shane's friend, like his mate. He hangs out with him in
they go for coffee
shops. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, Shane's got to buy this now, really. Otherwise his mate will be like really upset. So yeah.
Shane, any thoughts on the Moff DeLorean here? Are you going to pick up your friend for your collection?
He's already upset because I'm refusing to cook for him.
Oh my god. I hate to see it.
Mando season 3 just was a letdown for me, and it's a pity because I love Giancarlo Esposito from like pretty much all he's done. The Boys, Gustavo Fring. I think he's great as
Chicken Man,
Moff Gideon. Like if to be honest, I actually quite liked the suit that he had in season 1 and 2, but I actually didn't like the head sculpt. I don't think it looks enough like him, so I didn't buy it.
Agreed.
And then if they do a head sculpt with this and it's amazing and it has rolling eyes and all that kind of stuff, then I'm getting this purely because it because it looks cool. Because I didn't particularly like the season, and I didn't overly like what happened. I liked the suit, but I wasn't overly blown away by any scenes of him fighting. Parts of it were cool, but I wasn't like, oh god, I gotta rewatch that, which is a bit strange because overall, I still found The Mandalorian. I think it's a good show, season 1 and 2, but this particular the scenes with him in this I didn't particularly like. Whereas if you take something like the Book of Boba Fett, I'd be like, yeah, I wouldn't recommend the Book of Boba Fett, but I've gone back and watched that Cad Bane walking out of the desert scene numerous times. Like, you know what I mean? Pretty much that scene sold me on that figure. Like, and I watched it again yesterday. I was like, this is just amazing. But like, no, I don't think I'll be picking this up. Like, unless it's an absolute banger of a head sculpt, then I'll consider it. But at the moment, it'd be a pass for me.
Fair enough. No, I think at least at this time, I'm going to wait to see if the cost comes down a little bit. As I said, I wanted it. I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed, for the most part. It was my least favorite of the seasons, but I still enjoyed the ending, and I enjoyed what they did with the character. I really liked the look of the outfit in the show. I thought it would make a really cool Hot Toys figure. But, like, I don't know if I want to pay full price for it. So, Pete, I'm going to show you 10 photos from Sdcc. Okay? And of course, there's been a lot from Sdcc's. There's no way I could have captured it in a 2-hour show, everybody. So we're gonna miss a couple of items, I'm sure, but these are some ones that stood out to me. Of the 10 photos, I'll show you really quick, flip through it. Tell me which one you would want to talk about last before we get close to the end of the show here. So we're looking at, of course, the Spider-Man 2099, Miles and Gwen. We're looking at some Mandalorians from the beach on Mandalore. Not on Mandalore, but on the... What beach was that on? I forget what planet that was even on now. We are looking at Loki in Throne, which is cool. We're looking at Ant-Man and all of the Quantumania figures that have come from that so far, including Kang and MODOK, which was a very, very unique one. An Armorer 2.0. An Iron Man comic-style version. A full-size... what the heck are these little guys called again? I had it in my head. Anzellans. Thank you. I want to call it Angosian for some reason. Or a 6-scale droid. We also have Black Panther, Shuri, and the Flash figure in reality. And one last one, life-size Grogu. Which one is your favorite of these 10 photos?
I'm pretty underwhelmed by all of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's been a bit disappointing. I think... keep going back. Refresh my memory. Yeah, MODOK. Yay. I really enjoyed MODOK. I thought he was hilarious in the film. And I always thought they would make him just because it's just a really quirky character. Obviously from like the size perspective and everything. And I think like from looking at it, they've nailed it. It looks spot on.
Creepy in a way, almost.
He's creepy as hell, yeah.
Yeah.
But he made me laugh so much in that film. And I don't collect Marvel, but I don't know. I'd be tempted to pick up MODOK, just have him as on his own. He warrants that. So definitely. of what we got here, MODOK for me is the most interesting figure I've seen there.
Totally. The MODOK, if you could take all of like the guns and everything off and just have him more in like his normal kind of normal body, but like the head and the legs and the arms.
Yep.
And you could fit him in the collection a little easier. I think that would potentially sell me on it because it looks so good. Like if they don't give it to us, it would be almost weird that they put so much effort into making it look so good as a prototype. Like it's freaky good. And it would definitely be one piece that's right. It would, and that's the other thing.
It's going to look amazing. Yeah,
that's it. Like the Hot Toys, we don't get to see faces like this very often, so it's like, oh my god,
no, not on this scale.
It would be a weirdly standout piece in the collection, and if it's one that people sleep on over time, I could totally see it being one that turns into like a grail for people. So Shane, same exercise of the 10 photos we have seen here. What is one that stands out to you? Most specifically of what we're getting a kind of teased on. Ant-Man line, we got Spider-Man, the Mandos, Kang. Oh, Kang is one that I still kind of want. I'm not gonna lie. We got Armor 2.0. We got the Iron Man comic. We got the Anzellan life-size droid. We got the Black Panther, Shuri, and the Flash in reality, and life-size Grogu and Prim. What do you think?
You purposely left out the dewback.
You know what? Did I? No, I got the dewback on here. I thought I did leave the dewback off. Wow, you hate to see a rookie move. Let's play that. That's the one you want to look at because that is insane. I can't believe I didn't put that slide in.
They're I'll play your game. I'll play your game.
Yeah, fair.
There's this week I was like, nice one. Wallet is safe. But like, if your question is which one stands out the most, it has to be MODOK. It's the most bizarre looking creature. Like completely. Yeah. I don't want it within a 2-mile radius of me. Like, but yeah, it's they've nailed it.
Absolutely. And would you get the dewback then, since you mentioned it?
No, I
if
wouldn't.
They make it?
Purely space, Ben. I to summarize, I was never the kid who had dinosaurs. I much rather vehicles. So with the limited space I have, I'd much rather put the Batmobile 1989 in there, or a Batpod, than a Blurg or a dewback. Even though I think the dewback looks super.
That's awesome. Jose G. Hernandez says here, Ant-Man 3 was so disappointing, though. Nucleo says, put that MODOK on a well-lit pedestal like Idol in Raiders. Yeah. Mike Latorre says, MODOK would display in a bathroom and would actually... Why a bathroom? Like, what?
Scared the shit out of
people. Can you imagine? Like this little, what a Derek face looking at you? I wouldn't even want to display it with the faceplate on, because I think the face is so freaky looking that you have to show it, right?
Yeah.
But Scobie131 here says, I don't want that thing staring at me while I pinch one off. Fair enough. Fair enough. I can appreciate that. Feezy, same exercise, including the dewback here, because I did forget to add it to my slides. Did any of these stand out?
What about
You're not allowed to say MODOK. The Death Star Trooper. That was in my slides too. Yeah. Go ahead.
Stand out. If I can't say MODOK, damn, I guess I would have to go with Kang then.
Okay.
Just because if I had to pick one, I mean, I don't know, these pictures are kind of underwhelming, to be honest. Like, there isn't really anything like, bam, just the MODOK in general was a surprise release. But yeah, I think Kang. I wish I would have posed him with his with the helmet on, though, rather than the head sculpt that he had. But yeah, I would have to go with that one.
Absolutely. Now, would you consider a dewback in your collection, or the Death Star Trooper with panel setup?
Yeah, same thing. Space, man. Those are just I'm trying to pick and choose and be efficient with my space here. So I probably would have to pass on both of those. They look cool though. Yeah, the dewback, like same thing with the same reason I didn't get the blurgs. Right, those look cool too. But yeah, same space, man. I couldn't get those. If I can't hang it on the ceiling, then I'm passing. That's pretty much like where almost I have like space left is on the ceiling.
Absolutely. The Furry Ewok here says, what about the Drax and Mantis figures? As I said, there's been so much that's released. I only put on what was really standing out to me. I did miss the dewback and the Death Star Gunner. That one was a big one. But while I'm excited to see Mantis, I think that head sculpt is just from the Christmas release that we saw recently. I don't think there's much of an update there. And Drax... obviously people have been waiting for Drax for quite a long time now, but for me, if I wasn't going to build the whole team suit look, then that Drax wouldn't necessarily be as appealing to me. I don't think I'd get him by himself, especially if the jacket doesn't come off, kind of unveiling what his tattooed body looks like underneath. So not something that I think I would get. I think it's crazy with this dewback how small that trooper looks on top, like just showing kind of the scale of that dewback itself. It looks like a 7-inch figure on top of on top of it. That's a 1/6 scale figure, which means that thing has got to be like the size of, or bigger than my cat. I would have to say, at least bigger than my cat. And the commitment level of a vehicle, right? Like a 6 scale vehicle, which is insane. So yeah, I don't know. I think for me, my standout here would be probably the dewback, just because it's so cool, even though I don't think I would buy it. Like, I'm not so overwhelmed by it that I'm like, I'd have to have it. I just think it's cool that they're considering it. It makes me hopeful that we'll see something even like a Tauntaun in the future, because that to me really screams Star Wars. Well, I understand this does for some people. It's the Tauntaun for me that I'm like, that scene in Empire right at the beginning, you know, Han saves Luke's life with it. Like, I think there's so much coolness there that would be a creature I'd want to consider, even though that thing would be freaking huge too, let's be honest. If you can fit a whole 6-scale figure in the body of that thing, it would be massive. But Thomas, last but not least, of course, any standouts here from either the slides or the do-back that really stood out to you for your collection from Sdcc so far?
Well, I will probably scroll back one. There you go. I'm all right. I'm gonna say MODOK, but since I can't say MODOK, I'll say Iron Man.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't want him for my collection because that doesn't really look like a Hot Toy. That looks like any 12-inch figure. I mean, it doesn't even look like a 6-scale figure to me. And I know they were trying to go with the comic book version of it, but I think they could have done better with the suit. But, you know, it's Iron Man. Looks more like Plastic Man.
And like some people are hoping that it's actually still die-cast, right? Which I think is interesting. I want to show you guys this too. Let me share my screen again, because so keep this image of Iron Man in your mind's eye while I quickly pull this up here. Stored. Okay, so obviously we're looking here at some pictures of comic Iron Man. So while I will say, yeah, the coloration of that Hot Toys prototype there looks pretty fantastic.
Yep.
However, wait a minute, don't scroll up. Go up to the top right corner. No, scroll back. I'll tell you when to stop. Stop. Okay. Stop. See the one in the middle on the far right? Go over and down.
Alcohol bottle guy? Or?
Down. There you go, right there.
This one here? Yeah.
See, that one doesn't look like plastic.
No, for sure. And I think for me, it's the joints that bother me the most. Like,
yes.
And like the ball joints at the legs and at the arms. They really look like pegged in arms and legs, which it makes it to me look a little bit more like a toy than a 6-scale representation of a comic accurate suit. Because like when you look at the comic book pictures, and again, this is cheating a little bit because it is a toy, right? It is a figure. I get it, but even this little guy doesn't have the ball pegs that in the leg joints like that. Like, it's just the look kind of trips me out. I don't love it. What do you guys think in the chat? Is the Iron Man one that stands out to you? Would you get rid of the other Iron Man classic suit with the clear plastic that we got over top? A lot of people really like that suit, but with this potentially on the horizon, would you even keep that figure?
I'd keep mine because this right here just looks like. I mean, if they were going to charge like 200 and something. What are they Iron Man going for? Like what, 290, 280?
If it's die-cast, quite a bit more than that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they're charging what they would normally charge for an Iron Man figure for that, I would be very disappointed. Just the same disappointment I had for that Spider-Man 2099 until they said they were going to put a fabric suit on him. That's the way I feel about this.
Absolutely. Well, Mike Latoris here says, if they could make the Warner Bros. 100 Batman accidentally metallic blue, then they can make Iron Man purposely metallic yellow and red.
Thank you.
Valid. All right, guys, I've got one last slide for you, and then we are going to wrap the show for the day. It has been an awesome show with you guys so far. One last question for you, Shane, and then a quick round table. Tell me why you're going to put this figure in your collection if it comes out. The Megan 1/6 scale. Creepy ass robot girl.
Because I have one Megan, and now I'll have two.
Yeah, best answer possible. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. This is nightmare fuel. Feezy, would you get a Megan figure in your collection?
At this point, no, because I haven't seen the movie yet. I have to go back and watch it.
Neither
Is
have
it worth watching?
I've seen it so like solicited, but I've not seen the film yet.
Yeah.
Hate to see it. Fair. Pete, what about you? Megan in the collection? Yes or no?
No, I haven't seen the movie yet either. But I like the other sculpt. Obviously, there's a battle damage sculpt down on the right there. So
Oh, down on the right there, yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't
gives
even
me
see
a
that
bit
at
of a
first. That's
child's
also really
play
creepy.
kind of Chucky,
Yeah.
Chucky vibe. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, I wouldn't. I would. I want an Exorcist. From the girl from Exorcist figure. So this is kind of, it's got that vibe to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, not. I haven't seen the movie, so if I don't think I'd buy it anyway. It's a doll. Even if the movie's great, but yeah. Who's this from?
This is from the film. I think it's called Megan, yeah.
Yeah. Which company?
I think it's 3-0, right?
Oh, which company? Sorry. Oh, I apologize. I don't know. I don't know.
I think it was 3-0.
Yeah, that would be my guess. It seems to be their kind of thing. Yeah.
Let's just see here. Jose is saying no one's talking about the Lost Boys David from SciShow. I'm going to put that on next week's side list, just because that popped up in my feed today before I made the slide. So we'll put that one on next Sunday's live stream. Because Mike Latoris is also mentioning it here, Lost Boys figure, very tempting for me. So stay tuned for Sunday. Let's Get Nets next week, everybody. We'll put David on that sheet in particular. Pete from Only Fools and Collecting, a division of Collecting Weekly. Buddy, I'm always so happy to have you here. I know you said next week you can't make it, which is unfortunate.
No,
but totally
I'm
cool.
going down to driving down to Cornwall. Got a
Nice.
week's holiday down there, so yeah, that'd be cool. But I should be back for the one after. So we're broadcasting live this Thursday, episode 97. So yeah, excited for that. We've got some good bits and pieces to talk about. Some of the stuff that we've covered tonight. Some nice teases from Iconic Studios, friend of the show, Andy. So looking forward to that.
Nice.
And
Cool.
yeah, so come and join us if you can, or catch us on the replay.
Sorry, what day did you say that was on? I missed you. What day did you say that was, Pete? Sorry?
Thursday night. It's-
Okay.
Thursday, yes, at 8:30 p.m. UK time, so it's about 2:30 in the afternoon for a lot of the guys in the US. So I appreciate a lot of people catch us on the replay, but yeah, be good to have you with us live as we march towards 100. So,
Heck yeah, buddy. Heck yeah. Congratulations on that milestone. Also, by the way, now having done only 17 Let's Get Nuts episodes, I will say that 100 feels like a long way away. We'll get there eventually, but oh my gosh, that's a lot of
well, we're doing
a lot
one
of time
a week,
and
so
effort.
you'll catch us up.
Yeah,
we're
that's
only every
right.
fortnight, so yeah.
There you go. Every time you say Fortnite, you sound so classy. I'm going to start calling you Classy Pete with Classy Thomas over here. I love to see it. Buddy, I love you. Thanks for joining, as always. Always a great time having you
pleasure,
here, man,
mate.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Feezy, once again, so happy to have you back here as well. Always great having you. I can't wait to meet you in person here in the coming months at OxCon in Texas. But anything coming up on the Feezy Figures YouTube channel that we can look forward to, good sir?
No, thank you for giving me the opportunity to announce anything. But yeah, at the moment, don't have anything scheduled. That could change though. So I would just say keep an eye out on the socials as usual, Instagram and Facebook. I did, as we mentioned earlier, I was on with Shane earlier for that episode of Vision. So check that out if you haven't already. That's I'm sure Shane will plug his channel in here in a little bit. But yeah, but thank you for having me back again. This was always a pleasure chatting with you all in the community and everyone in the chat. Yeah, thanks all for your time. Appreciate you all.
So much fun having you. Check out Feezys Figures on YouTube. Definitely worth some watch there. Lots of great content. And then Thomas, I didn't make a slide for you, buddy. I apologize. I need to figure out a good slide for you.
I got to make my own slide. I got to get that together. But I'm a work on it.
You make me a slide. But you, this past week, were on After Dark with me on Wednesday on Collecting Weekly, and it was determined by Zach that your channel had the wrong settings assigned, and that it was set for kids only, or kids specifically, anyways. Did you get that sorted out?
I think so. I know that the very first video was set for kids, so they weren't able to do comments. But I've been getting comments on all the rest of my videos. So I think it was. I remember on that first one it was. So I don't think the whole station, I mean the whole channel, is set for that. So, but if anybody, if like I'm actually in the process of getting I've refilmed my collection tour, my part 2 collection tour, and I'm in the process of getting it together, but it takes like about 5 hours for some reason for it to upload to YouTube. But once I get it up, which hopefully it will, once I finish the videos pieces together, I had to correct that because I knew you were about to jump on that, big buddy. But once I get that finished, I will I'll let you know, and I'll get you to go in there and check it and see if you see anything that looks like it's kids only, so I can investigate further. But I couldn't find anything. So yeah.
Cool. So you got Collection Tour 2.0 coming though. It's in the process of editing
Yes,
and uploading.
Yeah, I went and refilmed everything, so hopefully it's a little bit better than the first version, and I may not have to do quite as much editing as I call it, which is basically just sticking it in there and pushing publish. But but other than that, I'm actually still working on some figures and a few things that I hope to film. And once I kind of figure out how to do my setup for it, I want to do a couple of tutorials. Like I told you, I do rooting and wigs, and on my Storm figure, once I get her head painted, I need to make her, because I'm actually doing Mohawk Storm, and I'm going to make her a custom mohawk to go in there. And I think if I do that, then I'll probably want to film that and kind of show how I went through that process in case anyone else would like to kind of make their own version of Storm. So yeah. And 1/6 I understand that was a poor choice of words.
You don't want to jump on words. Storm, okay? Sticking in there. Stop this, man. Jeez.
You're killing me, man. You're killing me.
Classy Thomas, I love you, buddy. Thanks for coming back. Make sure you guys go over and check out SpongeBobSquareBalls YouTube channel. Good guy, definitely deserves the love, and a cool collection worthy of spending some time with, if you can just put it on in the background while you're doing life stuff. Shane, Mr. 1/6FigureFocus, my hero in the community currently, because you look so jacked in your vacation photos lately. I'm like, I need to continue hitting the gym. Tell me what's coming up for you on either the channel or in life, good sir, that we can look forward to.
Thanks to the panel and the chat. It's a great stream to finish off the week on. Got a bunch of stuff in. A lot of those pre-orders came home to roost and stuff like that, and there was 1 or 2 impulse buys there as well. So if you check out my channel, I've been doing a lot of kind of like wiring up CCFL lightsabers and fusion reactors. They're all on shorts there. Got some sabers for Ahsoka and Besman Luke. That base again on Besman Luke is just a fantastic piece, so there's some shorts on that, just showcasing them. The DX13 Terminator Eye as well. It's such a simple touch, but it's nice. Earlier on I put up a video, just a bit of spoof video about like kind of, instead of doing Toy Fair predictions, I've just done like Toy Fair announcements that we're definitely not going to get. So if you want to check that out, it's a 1-minute video. It's just a bit of fun. Tomorrow the Hope Show is going to be on at 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, midday West Coast. So West Coast, yeah. So that's going to be on there. I think Agent Silverfox is joining me, and possibly Alan and Dan and Carbonite, and a few reviews. I'm gonna do some reviews tomorrow and just filming them and trying to get them up there. So Besbin Luke, if Cad Bane comes in, I'll do that. Might try the quarter scale Dark Knight. I got the quarter scale Dark Knight in, Ben.
Cool.
It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's a nice piece, but those ankles are not good. Not enough for me to send it back. It's still, the pros still outweigh the cons, but definitely for quarter scale it needs stiffer joints. And probably do a review on Tommy and Arthur Shelby, just to have something different. So cool. Yeah, there'll be a few reviews coming this week.
Cool, dude. Well, stay tuned for 1/6FigureFocus on YouTube if you guys don't already. Anybody watching on replay, we've been getting pretty close to 600 or 700 views per Let's Get Nuts live episode. So there's a lot of people obviously who are checking this out after the fact. Please make sure you subscribe not only to Shane at 1/6FigureFocus, but all the guys here below. Again, they help me make the show fun. If it was just me here talking to myself, it would be nutty, but probably not as entertaining. So Shane, thanks for coming back, buddy. Always good to have you here, man. Let me know when school's starting up again, so we can plan a departure stream for you or something, like back into the work world. So.
Yeah.
And then last, but of course not least, if you are tuning in today, you're on the Ben Thomas Show already. It's amazing how many people watch YouTube that don't subscribe. Please, if you can, hit the button if you haven't, if you're enjoying the content especially. Over here on the Ben Thomas Show, I just hit 1.8K subscribers, which is a huge milestone for me. I remember when I started the channel, I was worried nobody would even watch one video, let alone the 264 videos that are now posted on there. So if you can, hit the like that and subscribe. For the 2000, road to 2000, I'm thinking about some kind of figure giveaway. So I'm always open to some suggestions. If there's any figure that's coming that you guys would think would be a cool giveaway, I will certainly consider it. I will not make any promises, but I will consider it. But I would like to do a figure giveaway of some sort at 2000. So if you're watching, as I said, and you like the show, please hit the subscribe. For me and the content this coming week, I've got the Jack Nicholson 89 Joker on the way from one of the community members, Big Peps, or Scott Bradley. He sent me his copy, so thanks to Marco at OneSixthFigureFocus for connecting us on that, because he mentioned that he was selling it, and I jumped on it as soon as I could.
Nice.
So that's exciting. I'm also getting the Eddie Brock Venomized head sculpt from the newest version of Venom. But just the head sculpt sent from Lane Kramer this week. He decided to sell his figure, so he's selling the Venom separately, and he sold me the head sculpt separately. So now I'll have the Eddie Brock Venom head that I'm really excited to get in person and on the figure, but I'll also do a quick, either a short or a review on that when I get it in hand. And then we will be back next week, even unfortunately, sadly, without Pete. But we will be here for another Let's Get Nuts next Sunday. So stay tuned for the live shows, guys, and stay tuned if you can with the bell notification to get the notifications, because I usually put it up on Friday or Saturday, sometimes Sunday, just depends on how busy I am. Today, guys, after the show, I'm going to go play my new Nintendo Switch. I just bought it this weekend. I treated myself. I have not had a chance to play the new Zelda game yet, and I'm exploding, so I'm going to go play that. But guys, as always, everybody that stuck around in the chat today and are watching on replay, I love your faces. I love you guys in the panel. You guys make it a fun show. Pete, I would say, once again, for a Sunday, we got nuts. Thanks for watching, everybody.
I'll be back.